instruction, led by qualified teachers who can answer questions
Your
with
comment
care,
today
not judgment.
is Meta Mendel Reyes. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
I speak to support the proposed standards. I am a grandmother of a 6-year-old in the first grade. I am also a lesbian, so I have personal experience of being treated as different, not as good as, excluded. But I speak to you not only as a grandmother, not only as a lesbian. I speak to you because safety and inclusion of all students are community values. These are the values of my friends and my neighbors. And they matter not just to our most vulnerable students, they matter to all the students. I don't want my granddaughter to see her classmates bullied and targeted because of who they are. I don't want her to be ashamed of her grandmother because she's learned to hate those who are different. Thank you.
The next 5 who should be planning for movement over to the boardroom for holding patterns should be Hussein Berry, Audrey Sokyak, Adam Rembrandt, Tim Totten, and Deirdre Shires. Next public commenter is Sarah Antea. Whenever you're ready, you may begin your comment.
Hello, I'm here today as the parent of 2 high school students and as a transgender woman. When I came up through school in the late 80s, early 90s, none of this was covered in our health education standards. At the same point, it's possibly one of the contributing factors to where it took me until well into my 40s and to figure out who I truly was and admit that to myself. I can think back to those health education classes that we took back then. And if those topics had been acknowledged, not even necessarily covered in a whole lot of detail, how would my life have been different? How would it have possibly been better? Right? It is so imperative that our students today have this education and this awareness around folks like myself and other diverse identities and sexual orientations.
Thank you for your comment. Next is Rachel Hayer. Is Rachel Hayer on her way? Okay, we'll move. John Grossenbacher. Go ahead and come to the table, and whenever you're ready.
She has my things to hand out.
I'm sorry. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Since our time's been cut, I'll limit my speech and just talk about the petition. Sitting in front of you is a petition of 1,667 parents who have signed asking you to reject the standards. That's in just 10 days. I hear a lot of people out here talking about groups, superintendents. None of those people matter. You know who matter? The parents and the students. What I care matters. No offense, but what you guys think about teaching my kid transgender, that's not your right. And the law clearly states that. Superintendents don't care about them. They have a job. All these other groups I hear, they are irrelevant. The only thing that matters is the parents, and unresoundingly, they are against this. I feel for the people out here. But those failures that they experienced were not a lack of the education they received. That was a lack of the parents. I shouldn't have to pay that price because their parents failed. No offense. I shouldn't have to have my daughter be exposed to something that I disagree with, and that is overwhelmingly disagree with. You guys have the petitions, and they've all been sent to you. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. Next is Catherine Boussard. Thank you. Whenever you're ready, you may begin your public comment.
Before I begin, I'm just preparing copies of my prepared remarks. Good afternoon. Thank you for the opportunity to be here today. My name is Catherine Boussard, and I am speaking today in my personal capacity to firmly oppose the proposed standards. I appreciate that there's been some work done to the standards from last month. However, these standards still fall far below the standard of the Michigan Public School Law, the clear meaning of our laws, and they also fail the most basic test of good governance. Before any government body should ask, they should consider first, do I have the correct power source to authorize the action that I'm taking? And second, does taking that action violate civil rights in any fashion? These proposed standards fail both of those tests. Health and sex education are two different things. I would remind this body, we're not voting on sex ed today, we're voting on health. And those are statutorily different under Michigan law. It's also important to note the threat to civil rights and the issues that have not been resolved, especially for people of Abrahamic faith. I urge you to reject these standards. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Rachel Hayer or Hayes. Yep. Thank you. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
These updates are long overdue, grounded in science and guided by evidence. They include concepts like gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation, not as controversial issues, but as real and natural parts of being human. This is how we equip students with the knowledge and compassion they'll need to navigate a diverse world with empathy and understanding. Some claim we should be focusing on improving test scores, not on inclusion. But here's the truth. Inclusion is the cornerstone of academic success. Students can't learn if they don't feel safe. When they're valued, they engage. And when they belong, they thrive, not just emotionally, but academically. That's what these standards are about, creating classrooms where every student can show up as themselves, ready to learn, ready to grow, ready to reach their potential. By adopting these standards, you're choosing education over fear, truth over distortion, and compassion over cruelty. Thank you for your leadership, your courage, and your commitment to building schools where every student feels safe to learn, grow, and become exactly who they are meant to be. Because when every student feels safe to be exactly who they are, education soars.
Thank you. Next is Kristen Lee. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Okay, good afternoon. I'm Kristen Lee from Wayne County and the Michigan Education Director from Citizens Defending Freedom. The Michigan proposed standards 2.0 are unfortunately still lipstick on a pig and must be rejected in favor of healthier ones. This board can and must do better. Version 2.0 makes no substantial changes as seen in the guiding principles that are infused throughout. The parent-child relationship is not upheld or honored as it should be. Controversial material is still woven in, opening doors to curricula and classroom conversations that undermine family values and parental rights, which are a civil right. One example is sexual content in there is page 44, healthy relationships regarding consent. What is that if not talking about sexual touch and activity with middle schoolers? Additionally, sex ed, it's like putting art history under world language standards. These are related but separate subjects. The law mandates sex ed.
Thank you for your comment today. The next group that should be in... I'm sorry? Yes, I'm just going to give the people that are coming into the holding pattern, and then you'll be next. Yep. So the next 5 that should come to be prepared for public comment: Shirley Schaefer, Matt Spencer, Noah Spencer, Seth Spencer, Carol Riem. Next public commenter, Hussein Berry. Thank you for your patience. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
My name is Hussein Berry. For a quarter century, I worked with and served as a trustee with Dearborn Public Schools. What is the best for all students? What is the best for all students was a major factor in every decision that I made for a quarter century. I had a 3-minute presentation here to address you, just to kind of say, slow down, talk to more parents. You're losing students. Dearborn Public Schools lost over 2,000 students just the last few years. We're bleeding students. By the way, you made an illegal vote on a motion that was not supported. It was amended, then it was approved 6-2. That was an illegal motion. I do want to say something here. I am here to ask, part of what I was going to say, I am here to ask you to put political divides on the side. The zero-sum theory in politics today is not working. It is destroying our society at every level. Obviously, that's not what you wanted to hear. I'm ashamed to call you a former colleague. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next is Andre Sokyak. I'm sorry for the pronunciation.
That's okay. Afternoon. This is Andrei Suhorjak. As a parent of a trans child and a professional scientist, I strongly support the standard. Knowledge is power. Schools are supposed to empower all students. Knowledge is power. The most reliable source of knowledge is science. So I'm sorry, parents do not know best. Scientists know the best. Experts know the best. So I strongly support the standard and to enable and empower all students to feel safe, educated, knowing who they are, and knowing that it's okay to be who they are. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you. Next is Adam Rebant. It's coming as a group?
We're coming as a group, yes. We have a resolution signed by 50 pastors, and a copy of it's there.
Are all of your names listed?
3 of us will be speaking, but we just have the signature pages. So
Who the 3 people are that are listed, registered?
Pastor Michael Smith, Minister Adam Rebant, Pastor Danny Soria, Soria.
So you will have 5 minutes as a group.
Okay. Can I just turn this in? This is the signatures, but then there's copies here.
Okay, sure. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
All right. Thank you very much for extending the time. I really appreciate that. I understand how you had to cut the time of each person, but thank you for extending the overall time. My name is Michael Dennis Smith. I'm the pastor of a church and involved in the community. And first and foremost, I want to say that God loves every one of these kids, regardless of how our perspective is or how we're trying to educate them. Each one is unique and wonderful, beautifully made in the image of God. He made them male and female. He has a plan for each and every one of them, and they're written down in his book. And I pray that we can understand what that is. And I don't know why so much confusion has come in, and now there's 80 different genders, and the kids are confused as to their own identity. And I pray that we can get through that, and the kids can really see who they are, made in the image of God. Our resolution, whereas the Michigan Constitution, Article 1, Section 8 states, religion, morality, and the knowledge of being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged, affirming the vital role of moral instruction rooted in faith and family. And whereas the Michigan Department of Education has proposed new health education standards like Middle School 8.2.sh, that would inject subjective gender ideology and fluid definitions of sexual orientation into public school instruction, allowing teaching children to view identity as self-defined rather than God-given, promoting confusion over biological reality, and undermining age-appropriate instruction. And whereas High School 12.6.sh would compel students to identify and support policies promoting all sexual orientations and gender expressions, pressuring minors to advocate for ideologies that may conflict with biblical truth and family values. Whereas Michigan compiled laws MCL 380.10 clearly affirms that it is natural, fundamental right of parents and legal guardians to determine and direct that care, teaching, and education of their children. And there's a few more things on this, but we don't have time to get through it. And this is signed by over 40 pastors, backed by all their congregants. So I essentially represent hundreds of people.
My only comment is that the authority of God oversees us all, and any men and women of God, I'm a man of God, and this should not pass. And I'd like to ask Pastor Danny Soria to come in and speak for his community as well. Thank you, Pastor Danny, and I'm going to give you 2 minutes and 27 seconds.
Perfect. And when the science is corrupted, right? Ladies and gentlemen of the school board, we stand before here today not representing any political party or any particular religion I'm a Hispanic pastor, so I speak on behalf of many Hispanic pastors, thousands and millions around the world, and here in this great nation. We find ourselves in pivotal times, at critical crossroad. We bear the profound responsibility to make wise and morally sound decisions. Those choices must be guided not by a distorted or perverse moral compass, but by a biblical and constitutional perspective, one that upholds the rule of law. Biblical morals should not be viewed merely as religious tenets, but as a timeless guidelines for the advancement of humanity and the sustainable development of society. They enable us to thrive and to establish a meaningful legacy for future generations. This responsibility, ladies and gentlemen, does not lie with the government, with institutions, with organizations, and boards such as this one. This responsibility is solely on the parents. You have no right to decide by the parents. You don't live in their homes. You have no knowledge about the emotional maturity and the mental maturity of every children in this country. So you should make decisions not by the pressures of some groups. You should make decisions by the rule of law and what is common sense. Because when the science is corrupted, all the results are going to be corrupted. And then, as people of God, we are here today to formally advise you. The position you hold are ones of great privilege. You must not render decisions based on personal opinions, pressures from groups or agendas, but rather apply common sense to filter out anything morally questionable. Above all, you do not possess the authority to make choices on behalf of parents. You are in no way entitled to this kind of decisions. In these 10 seconds, I have to say this to you. You decide to go against the parents and prerogatives over their children. We will make sure utilizing all available lawful and spiritual tools.
Thank you for your comment today.
Thank you. Hold you accountable.
Thank you. Please have Tim Totten to come to the table for public comment. Tim Totten. Thank you. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Tim Totten, parent of school-age children at Grand Ledge. Some sex ed topics and materials have been hidden from me, already being taught as health that can't be opted out of. Our formal sex education advisory board doesn't even exist. Review, opt-out, and local oversight are myths to me. I urge you to vote no on the proposed health standards to avoid great folly and not be swayed by pseudoscience. Radical gender ideology is being pushed by pseudoscience. The problem of fake science has only gotten worse. Peer review has been broken and standards plummeted for a long time. The real-world results are quite dangerous. The ends of rationality and the radical reduction of the health of the survivors. A vote of yes is more great folly in that great industry of error.
Thank you. Next is Deirdre Shires. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
I'm a parent of 2 kids in Michigan Public Schools and also a faculty member at MSU. I'm here today to express my strong support for adopting the new standards, and particularly the inclusion of gender identity and sexual orientation. Studies show that most LGBTQ kids in Michigan have been bullied because of their sexual orientation or gender expression, and over 1 in 3 have seriously considered suicide. Yet when schools include sexual orientation and gender identity in their curriculum in an age-appropriate way, as the new standards recommend, it helps create safer, more welcoming school environments, which has a positive impact on the mental health of LGBTQ youth. As a social scientist, I recently surveyed MSU undergraduate students who graduated from Michigan schools across 59 districts. Nearly 80% of our participants, 4 out of every 5, said they think high schools should teach students about gender identity, including transgender identities. So I strongly urge the board to adopt the new health education standards framework. Our kids deserve accurate, evidence-based, and up-to-date health information that includes sexual orientation and gender identity. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment. The next 5 for holding pattern is Kathy Henderson, Catherine Zetterholm Fisher, Eileen McNeil, Dr. Megan Moss, and Pastor Danny Soria. I apologize, Eileen McNeil. Next public commenter is Shirley Schaefer. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
My name is Shirley Schaefer, and I'm a school bus driver. Our public education system must always remain consistent with the fundamental law on which it was founded. The Michigan Constitution, Article 8, Section 1, makes this very clear. Religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. If the members of this board wish to remain in good standing with the people, you must reject proposing any curriculum, policy, or program that may conflict with constitutional principles. Subjects that undermine the moral and religious convictions of students and families, whether sex education, gender identity, or any other, must be re-examined in the light of the fundamental law that governs you and that you have sworn to uphold. Members of the board, your oath binds you to these principles.
Thank you for your comment today.
That our schools
Thank you for your comment today. Please end your comment.
And moral heritage.
Thank you for your comment today. Next is Matt Spencer. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Okay, thank you. Article 1, Section 4 of the Michigan Constitution says that every person shall be at liberty to worship God according to the dictates of his own conscience. Everything that a government official, obviously including all of you, anything that you do must be within the constraints of the Constitution. It must be a constitutional grant of authority. In order to overcome the right of every person to be at liberty to worship God according to the dictates of their own conscience, has to come from a constitutional grant of authority. If there is not a constitutional grant of authority in our state constitution, that is an unofficial act by law. Even the Supreme Court has recently mentioned this as early as last year. There is no immunity for unofficial acts. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Noah Spencer.
The Michigan Constitution clearly establishes the purpose of public education in Article 8, Section 1, which states, religion, morality, and knowledge being necessary to good government and the happiness of mankind, schools and the means of education shall forever be encouraged. Public education was never meant to undermine morality or compel belief systems contrary to conscience. Yet today, this board considers a proposal that directly violates Article 1, Section 4 of the Michigan Constitution, which says every person shall be at liberty to worship God according to the dictates of his own conscience. Any policy, proposal, or curriculum that infringes upon this liberty, whether through compelled ideology, sexualized instruction, or doctrines repugnant to personal faith, stands in open violation of the supreme law of this state. Therefore, I remind each member of this board that the authority to deprive any one of the people of their liberty is found nowhere in the Michigan Constitution, and that you have the lawful duty to ensure that all educational materials and directives are compatible with the constitutional principles of religion, morality, and knowledge.
Thank you. Next is Seth Spencer.
Good afternoon. My name is Seth Spencer. I serve the Lady of Mint there with notices to pass out to you all. Please take notice that the people, as seen in the Michigan Constitution, have guaranteed rights that no government may interfere with. Michigan Constitution, Article 1, Section 4, excerpt. Every person shall be at liberty to worship God according to the dictates of his own conscience. The power to be at liberty is fundamental and is an inherent natural right, and there is no constitutional grant of authority to overcome this right. If even one child is taught something that contradicts the internal moral sense of right and wrong, an injury is done and irreparable harm may be done. Michigan Constitution, Article 8, Section 2, excerpt. Every school district shall provide for the education of its pupils without discrimination as to religion, creed, race, color, or national origin. Constitutional rights must not be violated by government, including any of you. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Carol Riem. You may begin.
Dear esteemed board members, over 25 years ago, my own daughter in middle school was told she would fail health class if she didn't put a condom on a banana. The teacher meant well, but this is exactly the nonsense contrary to family beliefs that enter the classroom when parents have no opt-out. The proposed standards guarantee this will happen again, only now on a much larger mandatory scale. Children deserve education rooted in biology, safety, and respect, not ideology disguised as health. Keep sex ed separate, elective, and fully opt-outable. I urge you to reject these standards today and honor the trust Michigan parents have placed in you. Thank you.
Thank you. The next group that should be prepared to come to line is Sandra Tannehill, Naomi Khalil, Thomas Coy, and Lewis Miles. Next person for public comment is Kathy Henderson. Thank you. I apologize.
Thank you, board members. Thank you for listening and hearing. We ask that you do more than just hear us today. We ask you that you not vote on this today. You're taking back a lot of feedback. I'm Eileen McNeil with the Citizens for Traditional Values organization. We have gotten an enormous amount of feedback from parents across the state, and you are hearing from all those parents across the state, I know, in your emails. I appreciate you reading them. What is the hurry? Why now? Why today? Why this? If you really want to address health and the sex ed, then let's take time. Let's all of us, all our organizations, not just MOASH, not just some of the other groups. Every parents, I never heard from you about do you have some opinions on what we should include on health and sex ed? Sex ed is very defined in the state law, and that's what we should follow. This health document of 100...
Thank you for your comment today. Thank you.
71 pages.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, 71 pages, not 100. Thank you.
Next person is Kathy Henderson. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Hi, my name is Kaylee, and I am a Lansing resident, educator, and PhD candidate at Michigan State University. I am here to express my support for the updates to the Michigan Health Education Standards Framework. I am also here to represent many friends and family in Michigan who could not be here today, but who also wish to express their support for a whole child approach to health and sex education. The practice that I would like to focus on the importance of today is practice 6, advocacy and health promotion. More specifically, the discussion of how to foster empathy, inclusivity, and respect around issues related to gender and sexuality, and the identification and support of school and community policies and programs that promote respect for all people of all sexual orientations, gender identities, and gender expressions. This matters because, to quote Ashley L. Sullivan and Lori L. Uraro in Voices of Transgender Children in Early Childhood Education, many schools do not include transgender youth in their anti-discrimination policies.
Thank you for your comment today. Next is Catherine Zetterholm Fisher.
Hi, my name is Kathy, and I have 3 kids. My youngest is in 11th grade. And I saw posts about writing to the State Board of Education, and I thought I didn't need to because what you were doing was good for the children in Michigan. And then I realized you needed to hear everybody's opinion. One of the changes I applaud is the inclusion of gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation starting in middle school. That's how we develop empathy, being able to understand how other people feel and experience life. Empathy and compassion aren't about agreeing with another person. It just means that you understand where they're coming from and care about them and show them respect. Respect for others, even though they are different from you, is important in our democratic society. Another important addition to the standards is the ability to foster healthy relationships through information on communications and decision-making skills. A third important addition is the emphasis on boundaries and consent. In all, it's a great document. It emphasizes respect for others and gives students
Thank you for your comment today. Thank you. Dr. Megan Moss. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Megan Maas, and I'm an associate professor of human development and family studies at Michigan State University. I'm also the parent of 2 daughters who attend public school here in Michigan. I'm speaking in strong support of the proposed Michigan health education standards because comprehensive, age-appropriate health education doesn't just protect individual kids, it protects entire communities. In my MSU courses, I hear from students all the time who grew up in Michigan schools and told me parents, teachers, no one taught them about consent, boundaries, or what healthy relationships look like. And that's not because parents don't care. It's because most parents don't know where to start. Data show that less than half of Michigan parents talk to their children about puberty or reproductive health. But that doesn't mean that young people aren't learning about sexuality. They are simply left to learn about relationships and sexuality from TikTok, Netflix, and pornography. Sources that are often inaccurate, unrealistic, or even dangerous.
Thank you for your comment today. The next 5 that should be prepared to be in line are Cheryl Myers, Holly Kimball, Michelle Rich, Gwen Bliss, and Ann Scott. The next person for public comment is Sandra Tannehill. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Mental sexual persuasion on our kids is causing mental harm and shouldn't be in health schools curriculum. Teaming up with an organization that teaches kindergartners how to masturbate and sexual radical ideology is absurd and disgusting. Let's talk about feeling safe. My daughter doesn't feel safe sharing a bathroom or a locker room with a male. No teacher, board, or school district will be able to manage these sex ed applications in all aspects of the curriculum effectively without oversight and failure. I oppose these guidelines due to your obvious incompetence to make right decisions in all aspects of education. Statistics don't lie. You sat through hours of valid moral and legal concerns from opposing parents and legislators, yet you didn't listen. You are failing us. Health and sex education should be separate.
Thank you. Next is Naomi Khalil. You may begin.
Hello, my name is Naomi Khalil, and I'm here to strongly support the health standards that are before you. As a former educator and administrator in both Detroit Public Schools Community District and Farmington Public Schools, who oversaw health and sex ed, in addition to civil rights for students, it is imperative that we have standards that not only educate comprehensively, but that protect the safety of all of our students. The biggest detriment to our democracy and to our society falling down is ignorance. So it's better to be fully informed of all that is out there and have all of our students be fully informed of all that is out there than to bury our heads in the sand because you're not comfortable or you're not in support. Everyone has their religious rights. Religious rights are to be practiced at home, and make sure that our public schools are safe for all students, from all identities, and from all walks of life.
Thank you. Next is Thomas Coy. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
My name is Tom Coy. I live in Lapeer County. I have a Master's of Liberal Studies in American Culture at the University of Michigan. My thesis delved into the history of the LGBTQ movement. I oppose the new guidelines on sexual orientation, and especially putting the sex ed in the required health education. Michigan citizens are divided between 2 dominant views of sexual morality. One is based on the Bible, while the second is based on progressive ideology, heavily influenced by the LGBT political movement. From my studies, the progressive view of sexuality in Michigan's sex ed curriculum regarding gender identity, sexual activity, and gender and sexual orientation, they're not based on science, but on LGBTQ ideology that actually promotes bigotry against its opponents who believe in biblical morality. I challenge each of you to examine your own bias, and I ask you to stop indoctrinating our children in LGBTQ sexual ideology. Thank you.
Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Thank you. There once was a rule of thumb in politics. One handwritten letter from a constituent was considered worth 1,000 votes. So let's apply that same logic today. How many emails has this board received on these proposed standards? How many public comments were made at the last meeting? And if a petition were circulated with, say, 500 signatures under that same rule, that would represent 500,000 voices in opposition. That tells me this isn't really about updating old curriculum or doing what's best for students. It's about advancing an agenda and ideology that does not belong in public education. There are many people who believe in our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, that he died to forgive our sins. So can we teach that belief in school as well? No, because religion, you say, is a belief, not a fact, and has no place in the classroom. Then by your own logic, neither do these gender and ideology lessons. Now, I've heard some say there's still an opt-out option, but as the second bullet point on page 4 clearly states, these competencies will apply across the school curriculum and can be integrated into any area of content.
Thank you for your comment today. The next 5 that should prepare for coming to the line is Danny Jones, Patrick Cox, Susan Estep, Viva Rosenfeld, and Jenny Macy. Next for public comment is Cheryl Miles.
Oh, you missed her. Michelle Rich and Holly Kimball.
Next. You'll be after this, so it'll be Cheryl Miles, then Holly, then Michelle. Yep. Begin.
Children's minds are still growing. The part of the brain that helps them think clearly, control impulses, and tell them right from wrong doesn't fully develop until their mid-20s. When kids are exposed to sexual topics too early, they're being asked to carry adult knowledge without adult understanding. That confusion can lead to anxiety, depression, and a lost sense of identity. The standards claim that the gender-diverse students are at risk because of discrimination and stigma. That ignores the basic truth. All children are emotionally and mentally vulnerable. Brains are still developing the areas that guide judgment, emotion, and self-control. When sexuality and gender identity are introduced too early, it overloads young minds that aren't ready to process these ideas in a healthy way. Tons of research shows early exposure leads to higher rates of anxiety, depression, poor body image, and confusion. This adds pressure, fuels self-doubt, and drives a wedge between children and their parents. These harms don't come from stigma. They come from pushing kids too far, too fast.
Thank you for your comment today. Next is Holly Kimball. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Hi, I'm Holly Kimball. Thank you for listening today. I appreciate your daily concern and work for the best interests of the children of our state. All men and women are created in God's image, and therefore all men are valuable and deserve respect. Our Creator made us, therefore, He is the authority on health education. Although He loves us, He does not approve of our stinking thinking. Divorcing gender from biology is dangerous nonsense and not safe for children. The State Board of Education is using its elected position wrongfully by not upholding citizens' rights. A move towards state-controlled teaching of radical gender ideology in health class robs parents of their rights according to state law. The proposed health standards support the dangerous nonsense of radical gender ideology. It's a misuse of delegated authority.
Thank you for your comment. Next is Michelle Rich. Whenever you're ready, you may begin your public comment.
Hello, I am Michelle Rich, and I thank you for having this opportunity to come and speak to you on this health proposal. And I strongly oppose this proposal. To my surprise, it was only a month ago that I was aware of this proposal when it was 40 pages long. I just found out yesterday that it increased to 70 pages long. There is so much in this health proposal that I oppose or do not agree with, that I don't have time to present it today. But you are not a legislative body. You are the Board of Education, and there's already laws already in order according to the MCL 3801507. And
for your comment today.
Your position
Thank you for
is
your
to-
comment today. You're all
is
done.
to,
Your minute has expired. Thank you for your comment today.
Thank you. I strongly
Thank
advise
you.
that you
Next is
look
Gwen
at the
Bliss.
laws and
Please
position.
please don't take the time of somebody else.
All right. I hope that you will give more people time.
Your
to
time for
listen
public
as
comment.
citizens.
Please don't take the time of someone else.
Whenever you're ready, you may begin your comment.
My name is Gwen Bliss. My background is in special education reading specialty, and I'm also a precinct delegate in Livingston County. I have over 20 years experience working with children, and as a part of that role, it was also my job to do background checks and to make sure that everyone had training to reduce the risk of children being abused or molested. And I have to tell you, intentionally exposing a child to sexually explicit content while undermining the authority of a parent is considered grooming behavior by a predator. Furthermore, concerning the LGBT awareness component, I believe in science and evidence-based as well. Any professional working with children should know it is normal childhood development for kids ages approximately 7 to 13 to go through a stage where boys think girls are yucky and girls think boys have cooties. Any school staff member who counsels a student this age that the reason they feel this way is because they are trans or homosexual causes that child to think there is something wrong with them. Making such presumptions causes confusion, anxiety, and depression. Students troubled by their changing bodies should instead be reassured there's nothing wrong with them. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh my, come on. The next group that should plan to come to the line is Charlene Tavarozzi, Cheryl Picard, Ron Picard, Wendy Sellers, Mary Jo Ebert, and Mary Bino. The next person for public comment today is Danny Jones. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Okay. So thank you very much for the opportunity to come and speak with you here today. I really appreciate it. I'm Danny Jones. I'm the parent of a teenager who's in a Michigan public school. And I'm speaking in support of the proposed changes that have been brought forward today. What I'd like to say is that my kid can handle learning about reality. And we're talking about here the reality of the existence of LGBTQ plus people and families, including transgender people. Well, it's a mouthful sometimes. LGBTQ plus people are just that, people. People who fall in love, people who pursue careers, people who sit in long board meetings, like we're doing now, all very normal human things. I have many LGBTQ people in my family, myself included, and we deserve to be included and represented. And by the way, just to end, parents of queer kids and those kids have rights as well when we're talking about the question of rights. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Ann Scott, I'm very sorry that I skipped over. Thank you. Please come to the table for your public comment. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Okay. Thank you. My name is Ann Scott. I am a parent. I've also served on my district sex education advisory board, and I am here in full support of the updated health education standards as proposed, including comprehensive sexual and reproductive health, HIV prevention, and sexual orientation and gender identity. As parents, we all do our best, but our kids are swimming in a soup of information on the internet. Influencers and pornography are ready to step in and fill in the gaps. Our schools and our highly qualified and competent educators are reliable, trusted sources of factual, accurate, and comprehensive information. Our districts need strong, accurate, comprehensive standards to guide the local decision-making in recognition and respect for the existence of our diverse students and families, and to promote dignity and respect for all people, regardless of whether who they are aligns with your worldview. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next is Patrick Cox. Thank you. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm a retired fire medic, was in the military. Me and my wife had our son when we were 40, and he didn't need to come out to me because I had a great relationship with him, so I knew that he was gay. And when he came out as transgender at age 18, again, we accepted him with open arms and everything was great. That's why I support this bill. He didn't have the education for that, and he's in therapy right now because of all the bullying, all the homophobic slurs all his friends said when he was all the way from kindergarten up through school. And he was worried about hate and things that would happen to him physically and emotionally and mentally. And that's why he's in therapy. I think this is an amazing thing. Once I read it, I thought it was amazing, and I support it 100%, and I thank you for bringing this forth and going forward with it. It's just first step in a long road ahead. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Susan Estep. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Hello, my name is Susan Estep. I fully support the revised health education standards. The current standards are 18 years old. That's a shame. For 6 years, I served as board trustee for Saline Area Schools. During that time, I was a rep on the Sex Ed Advisory Board, which I called CAB. Parents make up half of CAB. Surveys are given to staff, parents, and students. They review state and national standards and data. And public hearings are held. Parents can opt out. I am a queer woman. My wife and I have 3 children attending public schools. They have family and friends who are LGBTQ. I want to make sure that everyone hears this. I have parental rights too. My children also have rights to talk about their 2 moms. Guess what? They do it in elementary school. They have, just as any child can talk about their parents, rights to hear books in class from their moms and rights to wear
Thank you for your comment today.
Yep.
Thank you. Next is Viva Rosenfeld. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Adrienne Rich once wrote, "When someone with the authority of a teacher describes the world and you are not in it, it's as if you looked in the mirror and saw nothing." I'm a parent of 3 children who've attended Michigan public schools, 2 of whom are part of the LGBTQ plus community. In our old school district, the message to them was clear: you don't belong here. They became anxious and withdrawn. It was heartbreaking. We moved to a more inclusive district, one that taught acceptance. Within weeks, my kids were happier, making friends, and thriving because they finally felt seen. That's how inclusive education does it. It saves, it heals, it gives hope. Please vote to approve the new Michigan Health Education Standards Framework because every child deserves to see themselves in their school. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Jenny Macy. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
I am Jenny Macy, a parent of adult children who attended the Novi Michigan schools, and I support the Michigan Health Education Standards Framework. When I was a young girl, about 5 years old, I remember my parents, in preparation for a going-away party for a good friend of theirs, sat me down and told me some boys like girls, some girls like boys, some boys like boys, and some girls like girls. Seeing people hold hands or kiss is normal and fine, no matter who they are kissing. It is not a big deal. Their friend was gay, and they wanted me to know that it is just fine to love whoever you love. It was simple and clear. Love is love. This has stuck with me all of my life. People all just want to love who they love without judgment. I am here today because I want to see that level of acceptance and kindness for all the kids in our state. I appreciate your support of LGBTQIA+ people and their rights. I encourage you to include discussions of all lifestyles in our schools. Students need a place where they are accepted and know that the feelings they feel are okay.
Today.
Thank you.
The next group that will come to the line to wait is John Kashner, Thomas Coy, Julia Pulver, Shannon Kecko, and Alicia Childers. Next public commenter is Charlene Tavarozzi. You may begin.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking for Joan Pence, coordinator of the Western Wayne Indivisible. I taught every level of biology ever offered in Plymouth Canton schools over my 38-year career, and I am certified by the state of Michigan to teach reproductive health. As the state of Michigan ponders new guidelines to districts on this subject, I want to share with what I learned over those many years. In some ways, the students know nothing about their reproductive functioning, i.e., witness the panicked questions beginning with the words, "Can I get pregnant if?" And in other ways, they know everything. That everything often involves what kids know in their hearts from a remarkably early age, but rarely speak of to the adults in their lives. That thing is gender. It is for that reason that I believe that they understand and accept their gender nonconforming peers far better than we often do. So if we choose to teach these kids about LGBT...
For your comment today. Thank you. Next is Cheryl Picard. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
My name is Cheryl Picard, and I'm from Plymouth Canton, and I presently serve on the Plymouth Canton School Board, but I am speaking for myself. I'm bringing up the topic of trusted adults in relation to this health standards. I would ask, how is that determined? We tell the kids, oh, trusted adult, I see that listed everywhere. But I would ask, like, can we trust the board? Because when they made their back in 2016, their State Board of Education statement and guidance on safe and supportive learning environments for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and questioning students. They also they put in there that when students have not come out to their parents, a disclosure to parents should be carefully considered on a case-by-case basis. So who's in charge then? Is it the parents? Is it the schools? Like, who gets to decide that? So they know better than the parents. If there is a problem, they're supposed to be reporters. They're supposed to report if there's a
for your comment today.
So, thank you.
Next is Ron Picard. You begin.
Hi, Ron Picard, also from Plymouth. Just to piggyback on what Cheryl just said, before COVID, our district passed a similar policy that spelled out when teachers should lie to parents or not. And since then, we've had our enrollment has been dropping. We've had 400 plus out of district students come into our district this year, and our enrollment is still going down. And that's because basically because of trust. When the parents cannot trust the school district anymore, they're going to leave. They're not just going to opt out of the health program or the sex ed program. They're going to leave with their feet. So you can blame COVID, you can blame Trump, you can blame Christopher Columbus about the enrollment going down. But the fact is, talk to the parents who are leaving. Talk to the ones who have taken their kids to private schools. Every private school in our district has a waiting list, and yet the public schools enrollment is still going down, and it's because of things like this. So I ask that you not pass this.
Thank you for your comment today. Wendy Sellers. Thank you. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Hi, my name's Wendy Sellers, and I am have worked with public schools for 40 years. I was a regional school health coordinator working with schools in Aitman and Clinton County promoting health education across that region. I've also trained thousands of teachers nationally how to teach sex education. I'm a registered nurse and a certified sexuality educator. I'm also a grandparent of 10. And I fully support the adoption of these standards. I also fully support the right of parents to opt their children out of any parts of the sex ed standards that they don't feel are appropriate for their family. This right has always been in Michigan law. I've been doing this 40 years, remember, and it continues to be there regardless of what's been said. I do not support the dissecting and censoring of the standards to appease those who think they have a right to dictate what is best for everyone else. Do not reduce the standards to the lowest common denominator in an attempt to appease them. They will just demand more. Unfortunately, the health ed standards, thank you.
Next is Mary Jo Ebert. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Good afternoon. I serve as director of the Michigan Unitarian Universalist Social Justice Network. We are a religious organization. On behalf of our member churches, I speak today in support of the proposed Michigan Health Standards Framework. For over 25 years, our congregations have run a life-affirming education program our whole lives, which teaches about human development, understanding consent and healthy relationships, and sexual health, because this is not taught in the public schools. We recognize the profound impact that comprehensive health education has on improving health and well-being of children, youth, and adults. The proposed framework does give parents agency. They have access to the curriculum, and most importantly, they can supplement the curriculum by discussing with their child their values and their parental guidance. In our experience, parents often welcome this kind of partnership because they don't always feel equipped to do it themselves. We want all children to have knowledge and skills.
Thank you for your
to make
comment
informed
today.
Decisions.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next is Mary Bino. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
My name is Mary Bino. I'm a retired regional school health coordinator serving Livingston and Washtenaw County school districts. I am here to express my support to adopt the proposed Michigan Health Education Standards Guidelines. Yay, long overdue. What we need in 2025 and beyond are these guidelines as described in the document that you all have read for today. Me, you, we, us make health choices every minute of the day, from the time you wake up until the time you go to bed. Choices that can help or hinder us physically, emotionally, or mentally. These choices impact us individually as well as members of our community. Be the educational leaders that you are to provide the best to the best. Our youth deserve exemplary health education.
Meant today. Thank you
for your time.
Thank you. The next five that should prepare to be in line are Erica Lykin, Billy Schultz, Brittany Hausman, Natasha Ortega, Dawn Walton. The next person for public comment today is John Kashner.
My name is John Kashner. I am a pastor in Lyons, Michigan, and I'm here to give my strong opposition to the proposed health standards. Michigan law states it's the natural fundamental right of parents and legal guardians to determine and direct the care, teaching, and education of their children. The current health standards proposal is tending to blur the lines of adhering the current Michigan law and protecting parental rights in the education of their children. The proposed health standards add many categories that are woven into the curriculum, including sexual health, sexual orientation, gender identity, gender expression, advocacy, and many other controversial topics. Will this be considered mandatory or required for graduation? Parents need to receive notice of this type of sexual teaching as planned so they can opt their children out. I'm a pastor, as I said before. On a weekly basis, I'm in contact with children and teens in Ione County. I don't need to tell you this, but I'm sure you all know well to be true, but our children are already over-sexualized and misled. Instead of being told that God made them with purpose and love, at birth, their society tells them they can be animal or any other gender. Instead of telling them the life and
Thank
truth
you for your comment today. Thank you. Next is Thomas Coy. Thomas Coy.
We already had a Thomas Coy.
Julia Pulver. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Thank you. My name is Julia Pulver, and I live in West Bloomfield, Michigan. I am the parent of 3 current students, including a trans high school student. I am also a registered nurse and have been for the last 20 years. I strongly support the new standards that are being proposed. All of our students deserve to have accurate information about their own bodies, lives, and experiences presented to them in school in a responsible and age-appropriate manner. And when I say all of them, I mean all of them, including LGBTQ plus students. No matter what anyone thinks about them, these students exist and have a right to an education that includes them. Their existence and basic dignity should never be up for debate. Statistically, 1 in 10 of students identifies as LGBTQ+. So in a classroom of 30 students, that's roughly 3. And those 3 have the same right to an education that includes them as the other 27. Please do not erase them from their own education.
Your comment. Next is Shannon Kecko. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Thank you. I'm here to reject the proposed revised health education standard guidelines and protect all Michigan kids. These actions violate and threaten to erode the constitutional boundary between the state authority and parental autonomy in the Commonwealth. You cannot overreach this oversight legislative authority by ignoring statutory limits. This is exploiting the children. Today, kids are subjected to personality quiz, self-reflection, prompts, and empathy exercises. There is no escape. This proposal is turbocharged SEL. Learning is not therapy. You're treating reading failure with therapy instead of teaching kids to read. Parents do not expect to be probed. We don't want you to probe our minds of our children and shape their worldviews, nor teachers should be expected to act as therapists or spiritual gurus. Parents see through the rhetoric, the fog of whole child education.
Thank you for your comment. Next is Alicia Childers. Alicia Childers? Oh, she had to leave. Thank you. The next group to be in line, Jose Rodriguez, Sheila Cohoon, Stella Shanenequet, Rick Ferkel, and Mike Enstrom. The next person for public comment at this time, Erica Lykin. Okay, Billy Schultz. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
I have a few questions for this board. First, have you watched the videos or reviewed the handouts that will be given to our students under the new health standards? If not, how can you properly vote yes or no on something that you have not fully reviewed? And if you took the lesson plans to parents and went knocking on doors in your own community, what would they say? I know in Wayne County, I live off of Outer Drive and Fort Street, and I will tell you, if you go door knocking off of Schaefer and Outer Drive in that neighborhood on Electric Street, they would tell you they would not vote for this. These new health standards normalize sexual content that open the door for predators. Since 1914, there have been over 780 teachers and staff
Thank you for your comment
that have
today.
been convicted.
Thank you for your comment today. Next person in the room is Brittany Hausman. Are you all coming as a group? We're a group, yes. And can I ask how many have registered so that I can check names off? Can I just have names so that I can check them off? Horseman? Okay. Anybody else?
Tanya Delnay.
Thank you. All right. Whenever you're ready, you will have 5 minutes. So whenever you're ready to begin, you may.
My name is Brittany Hausman. I am a nationally credentialed sexual risk avoidance instructor and director of education. I serve as the vice chair of the Michigan Sexual Risk Avoidance Council, and most importantly, I'm a parent within our public schools. Together with my colleagues, we deliver sex education instruction to more than 19,000 students in the state of Michigan. I would like to address the accusation that groups like ours have spread falsehoods regarding the proposed health standards. The way that I'd like to do that is to detail for you that I have seen how controversial subjects like sexual orientation, gender identity, and similar topics have in fact been delivered through content areas that are not health class or sex education. In the district where I live, parents had no idea that sexual orientation and gender identity were common topics within the Trails social emotional learning curriculum. We received a lovely letter during the first year our district was piloting the program that described a wonderful curriculum that would teach our children respect, empathy, responsibility, etc. There was no mention of anything controversial like gender. It wasn't until a student alerted their parents via text messages of an identity worksheet that was handed out where they were asked to disclose private information like their sexual orientation and gender identity that parents became aware. This promoted the formation of an SEL committee, which I joined. I was shocked when I had the opportunity to reveal the curriculum in full, which is when I learned that the curriculum was full of DEI initiatives, including the sexual orientation and gender identity topics that I have mentioned. Parents had no idea, and the district made no effort to inform parents or offer an opt-out solution. Not that there would have been even possibility in that, because SEL occurred in several areas throughout the school day in my son's building, for example. How do you opt out of SEL when it takes place in the morning announcements with specials teachers, homeroom teachers, etc.? Dr. Pugh, this is not a falsehood. This is something I witnessed with my own eyes and actively took a position to oppose. As you mentioned, the opt-out still being protected, I want to ask you who will enforce the laws protecting the SEAB. MDE is currently charged with this. Who specifically makes sure the laws are being followed? As an educator, I appreciate the fact that Michigan state law promotes standards that encourage students to pursue optimal health. Our law reflects CDC standards research that abstinence is the only 100% effective method to avoiding both the risk of teen pregnancy and STDs. We also see in CDC's data that only 24.4% of Michigan high school students are actually having sex, which means that the majority of students are choosing to avoid the risks of sex entirely, and we can see this reflected in the A through K law of our state. While the law allows for mention of risk reduction strategies, which we agree are important to address, the state of Michigan requires sex education programs to supply age-appropriate content and accurately share that abstinence is the only 100% way to avoid risk. Michigan legislation section 380.1507B1 states that sex education in schools shall emphasize that abstinence from sex is a positive lifestyle for unmarried young people, because abstinence is the only protection that is 100% effective. I appreciate that the new draft of the guidelines mentions abstinence more frequently than the previous draft. Still, there is no statement within the current draft that states explicitly that abstinence is the only 100% effective method. Generally, when abstinence is mentioned, it is listed in equivalence among delay and contraception. If the point of this proposed framework is to build upon the laws of the state of Michigan, as it is stated in the introduction, then why is omitting such a key point of the law? Why is it omitting such a key point of the law? I also question whether these new guidelines abide by Michigan legislation section 380.1507B, that schools' material and instruction is in sex education that discusses sex shall be age appropriate. This is something that all parents and school districts strive for in sex education. The debate, however, becomes what is considered age appropriate. I ask, is something age appropriate if it encourages students under the age of 16 that teen sex relationships are normal and healthy? I don't believe it is. The middle school standards list contraception and barrier methods as ways to support healthy sexual behaviors. Yet, can a middle schooler have a healthy sexual relationship using contraception if it is illegal for them to consent to sex? As we opened today's meeting hearing about wonderful schools and teachers who are impacting young lives, I want to ask you why you continue to add more confusion and tension in the teaching field. While I was in the Capitol building a couple of weeks ago, conversations were had regarding our teacher shortage. All of this confusion and controversy certainly isn't attracting more teachers to join the field.
Thank you for your comment today. Next in the room is Natasha Ortega. Is Natasha Ortega there? Yeah, thank you. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Thank you. So as a mom of 4, high school, middle school, elementary, 1 in the womb, because in the womb, that is a baby. I don't believe in abortion. All lives matter. The root of everything that everyone is looking for, they're saying kindness, acceptance, that's found in Jesus Christ and Christ alone. So whether you believe that or not, it's real, it's fact. Real love tells the truth. So I hear a lot of scientists speaking today. I guess you forgot there's XX and XY chromosomes. So when I have this baby, guess what? It can only be male or female. So we've been talking about looking like ourselves. So if a baby is born as a girl, guess what? If we have this baby look like a girl, this baby is feminine, right? Just like a boy. Real love tells us truth. We talk about safe adults. Safe adults do not lie to children. We don't tell them, oh, you could be a boy. You can't. That will never happen. Whatever you cut off, it won't work. And we're talking about Chloe Cole. She was groomed at a young age, detransition. She thanks parents like me for speaking out. Help these children. Don't do this.
For your comment today. Next is Dawn Walton. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Thank you. I'm Dawn Walton, and my pronouns are she, her. I am the president of PFLAG Detroit, and I come here on behalf of Michigan PFLAG chapters. We are, of course, parents, family members, friends, and allies, and members of the LGBTQ plus community. We, of course, support the updates for all the reasons that the other supporters are. I am a parent of a queer child. You have heard parents speak today that do not represent my opinion of these updates. I support them wholeheartedly. My child came out, fortunately, in a public school that was inclusive and supporting, but not every child has that. We are losing children in Michigan communities. We're losing them to bullying, gun violence, and suicide. Education promotes understanding, which leads to compassion, empathy, and kindness to other human beings. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The next group to be prepared to wait are Jill DeLeo, Rima Mohammed, Peter Tork, Ann Henriksen, Alan Sellis. The next speaker is Jose Rodriguez. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
My name is Jose Rodriguez. I'm a grandfather and also a pastor at New Wine Church, and I'm just wanted to share my concerns that we all know that the Word of God tells us that we are all children of God, and God loves every one of us. And I believe that one of the things that we need to really consider is that God's laws have always been true. We might want to change them. We might try to make them to fit our concerns, but God's laws are always right. And I would just ask you to consider that health education and sex education should be separate. It doesn't need to be combined, and parents need to be able to have the option to opt out. And I truly believe that this board has a concern for children. God loves children, and they are special to Him. And as the board, I think you need to really consider the children. You need to consider the parents, and also understand that the
Thank
parents
you for your
have the
comment
right
today.
to raise their children.
Thank you. Next is Sheila Cohun. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Board members, you keep spreading misinformation in videos and in statements and in your health standards. The Elliott Larson law is based on discrimination. It doesn't mean that we need to teach kids gender identity. So let me be clear in saying that you don't need to teach kids gender identity because of the Elliott Larson law. It's based on discrimination. I got bullied and threatened in school, so it isn't about gender at all. It's about people and how they treat others. Has nothing to do with gender, has nothing to do with sex. It's about bullying people that are different, right? And we all just need to treat each other good. Gender is a religion, and that lady was right. We need to keep the gender ideology, religion at home and let the parents teach that. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your comment today. Next is Stella Shananaquet. Stella? Thank you.
Stella. Stella?
Yep. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
I hope I have everybody's full attention since I have a 4-hour round trip travel and took a day off work. Sir. Thank you. So the 1 minute folks made it so I don't have time for pleasantries. Let me get right to it. I'm the parent of 3. One of them is a transgender boy. He's 24 now. I started grooming him. I mean, he came out to me when he was 14. I guess it wasn't a phase. I support these standards. I was here in 2016 and the vote was for the LGBT guidelines. They passed. I'm not sure why we're here again with the same topic. It seems that the same closed minds are here, and let's be blunt. We know what this is about. Deniers lost the bathroom more, so here we are again with it wearing a different dress. Nobody's teaching your kids gender identity. They already know. They're just too scared to tell you about it. Bottom line is you don't have to believe in it. You don't have to accept it, but it exists. Adolescence is hard enough without trans 14-year-old boys getting pregnant because nobody taught them they could.
Thank you for your comment today. Next is Rick Ferkel. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Rick Ferkel. I'm a professor in the Health and Physical Education Director at Central Michigan University. And I was coming, want to talk about a couple different things. I'm recommending that you please vote these down. Right now, there's 128 objectives in the middle school. There's 122 in the high school. And really, when you look at across the state, we get about 1 semester in middle school, 1 semester in high school. The feasibility for your teachers to be able to accomplish this is not real. Right now, over 60% of teens' diets are highly processed foods. Sleep is 80% they don't get 80%. 80% of teens do not get enough sleep. 75 to 80% do not meet PA guidelines. As far as screen, 5 to 7.5 hours of teens are recreational every day. That's roughly a third of the year. When you look at this, the middle school standards, nutrition 4.7, physical activity 3.9, no sleep, substance 7.8, tech 6.3. 22% of the objectives are on those areas, but it affects us every single day. High school, nutrition 9.8, PA 8.2, substance 9, tech 5.7, 32.7% on stuff that affects every one of us every single day for the rest of our lives. We have to evaluate that. Thank you.
Next commenter is Mike Enstrom. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Hi, my name is Mike, and I'm a transgender man and a high school freshman. I believe that it is important for everyone to be represented and included, especially with something as vulnerable as sexual well-being. During my sex ed classes, I would always feel alienated because they never discussed queer people like me. I only learned how a woman and a man could have safe sex, never two people of the same sex. LGBTQ plus inclusive sex ed would not only help queer people feel seen and supported, it would also teach them how to be safe about sex. I urge you to support the usage of a more inclusive sexual education program so that all students can be safer, feel more included, and it would help reduce stigma surrounding the LGBTQ plus community. Thank you.
5 to come to line to wait are Rick Joseph, Heather Lowry, Terry LeDuc, Brent Hale, and Ahmed Amir. The next person for public comment is Jill DeLille. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Thank you. I'd like everybody to just take a cleansing breath here because you have heard a lot of people say a lot of things. So okay. I am Jill DeLynn, and I was the supervisor of reproductive health for Okemos Public Schools for over 20 years. I am a registered nurse and am a health educator. What I'm going to do is tell you how school districts may or may not put new standards into practice. Our goal in Okemos has always been to meet the needs of students and parents in our community. The new standards will help keep students safe. The revised standards address the needs of all students. LGBTQ parents and students are a vital part of our community, and we strive to keep the learning environment and culture of our schools safe and inclusive. We also include special education students because these students are most likely to be sexually victimized, and the new standards will address them. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Rima Mohammed.
I think you missed Alan.
Yeah. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Okay. Hi, my name is Rima Mohammed. I am an Ann Arbor Public School Board member. I'm also a clinician and researcher. Today, I want to speak in support of aligning our state health standards with the updated Michigan Health Standards Framework, including comprehensive, inclusive education that recognizes and supports our LGBTQ students. Research shows that inclusive health education leads to lower rates of bullying, higher levels of student safety, and better mental health outcomes. In contrast, when students feel invisible and stigmatized, we see higher rates of depression, absenteeism, and even suicide risk. That is not acceptable in our schools. In Ann Arbor, we are already doing this, and we are seeing positive results, and all students feel supported. So I urge the Board of Ed, all local school board members in our community to support adopting the full Michigan health education standards, including LGBTQ inclusive content. Let's lead with courage and compassion. Thank you.
Thank you. Peter Tork. Thank you. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
My name is Peter Torg, and I have a trans son who is now a senior at Dexter High School. He spoke to this board when he was in third grade. None of this is new. In Dexter and across Michigan, educators have received training on how to create safe learning environments for LGBTQ students and report better outcomes for all students. I've listened to the comments here and by lawmakers who oppose the new standards. They often use words like facts and evidence, and then proceed to justify their opposition to gender identity based on religious beliefs. That's because if this was about weighing evidence, the professional consensus is overwhelming. Every major medical and mental health organization and every major educational organization support gender and LGBTQ affirming care and education. Respectfully, your religious ideologies do not give you the right to deny evidence-based best practice. Public education is based on critical thinking.
Thank you for your comment today. Next is Ann Henriksen. Ann, oh, there she is. Whenever you're seated and ready, you may begin.
This term, pre-existing condition, is the undergirding rationale in the design of your proposed sex health standards for 2 million children in Michigan. The emphasis on presenting a child K through 12 in all academic areas is spurned from sexual orientation in all forms as a human pre-existing. Some say that born that way. Another may say it is not what you do, but it is what you are. As you would say, my characterization of your sex health standard is misinformed. Your determination is to include sex in content to this degree is obvious to convert students. Sexual orientation is a methodical sexual conditioning, as in attractive to human innocent and curious minds. It is a psychological programming, and it's called science. As when I was here
Comment
before,
today. Thank you. Next is Alan Sellis. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Okay, thanks. What I feel is that parents, they send their children to school. Then they're told that this gender curriculum can go all the way down to kindergarten, and then they're scared to death. And then they think, well, is the school trustworthy? Are they going to indoctrinate my child? And the question that I have is, why are you trying to push so many kids out of the public school, and why are you trying to push so many young families out of the state because they don't feel like they can trust the school or the state with their very own children? So I oppose the changes. Thanks.
Thank you. Tracy Edmond, Gay Long, Sharon Williams, Jonathan Gold, Jennifer Oster, Robert Downey. Next in the room to provide comment, Rick Joseph. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Hello, everyone. My name is Rick Joseph. I am the 2016 Michigan Teacher of the Year. Health education for all students, especially our most marginalized, is foundational to the well-being of our children. Before anyone can learn the 3 R's, they need to feel safe. Guidelines are not laws or rules. No one is telling anyone what they must do. Instead, they say, hey, this is what people who study these issues know works best for students. We are all charged to serve. Parents will always have the opportunity to opt their children out of health education, though very few do so because they trust us as educators implicitly. When such topics as gender identity are presented in a way that is developmentally appropriate, children experience lower rates of bullying and suicide. What my upper elementary students have told me when I acknowledge that they are trans and non-binary is thank you.
Comment today. Thank you.
Thank you for noticing me. Thanks, everyone.
Heather Lowry. Heath, I am so sorry. You may begin.
Hello, everyone. I'm here today in a twofold capacity. First, as a parent of a young daughter who will be entering the public schools of Michigan at some point, and as the public policy attorney for the Michigan Coalition to End Domestic and Sexual Violence. I'm here to strongly support these new standards. I commend you all for creating a comprehensive, evidence-based, and age-appropriate standard that prioritizes critical areas. These components are essential for equipping students with knowledge and skills to make informed decisions, foster respect for themselves and others, and thrive in a safe and supportive environment. The framework emphasizes root causes of behaviors, risks and protection factors, and social determinants of health, and these align with best practices and national standards. By addressing attitudes, values, and beliefs, they empower students to critically examine personal choices and societal influences. This approach is particularly important for preventing domestic violence.
Thank you for your comment today. Thank you. Next is Terry LeDuc. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
My name is Terry. There's a lot of opinions shared today, both for and against. The problem is opinions should not be taught as a curriculum. Facts should be. The fact is a biological male is male his whole entire life. Biological female is female their entire life. Doesn't matter how many drugs you give them, how many surgeries, put them in a dress, put them in work boots, whatever. Doesn't matter. Their sex does not change. The opinions expressed in this format here have been very different, but the essential thing is some of you have a problem with parents and students opting out of the curriculum that indoctrinates children. Parents should have that right. Students should have that right. It should not be merged into the general curriculum of this school.
Thank you for your comment. Brent Hale. Okay. Ahmed Amir. Begin.
Good afternoon. I'm speaking on behalf of State Representative Emily Devendorf. Too often, these debates feel like deja vu, adults arguing over whether teaching facts is dangerous while kids just want to learn about themselves and the world. The Michigan health education standards aren't controversial because they harm students. They're controversial because they include all of them. Every child deserves lessons grounded in science and acceptance, not fear. Pretending LGBTQ plus students don't exist doesn't protect them, it isolates them. These standards don't push an agenda, they provide accurate, age-appropriate information so students can make safe, informed choices. Parents still have every right to review or opt out of lessons, but our schools have a duty to tell the truth and teach respect. Inclusive education saves lives. Let's stay rooted in evidence, not fear, and move forward with courage, compassion, and honesty for every Michigan student. Thank you.
Next is Edmund. Gay Long. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Thank you. I am an 86-year-old great-grandmother of about 23 children. About half of them are in Michigan schools. And a number of them have been homeschooled because they did not trust what was going on in the schools, and the gender identity was one of the problems. I remember learning in school years ago that Thomas Jefferson ordered Congress to print Bibles to be the primary textbook in the schools. When I grew up, the Bible was part of it. Days began with prayer, and the 10 Commandments were posted on the wall. And our rate of learning, our math skills, our science, all our skills were very high. At this point, unfortunately, Michigan has one of the lowest rates of education for reading and math.
Comment today. Thank you. Science. Next is Sharon Williams. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Okay, thank you, and I appreciate you being here today and allowing me to speak. My name is Sharon Williams. I live in South Lyon. I'm an educator, taxpayer, and a parent, and I've taught from preschool to college level, and I have a master's degree in health education. And I am here to voice my opposition to the proposed changes in the health education curriculum. It undermines the beliefs and the values of most in our communities. Number two, additionally, this proposal promotes gender confusion. It is especially true for pubescent teens. Additionally, children's brains are not fully developed until they're in their 20s, so why would you want to confuse them? I think we're stealing their innocence. I was looking at Sexual Health 8.5, where it says that something about determining the emotional readiness for sexual behavior, and I find that word emotional very interesting. In reading through the curriculum, I found the word feelings 20 times, but there was nothing about logic or logical rationality. Critical thinking was mentioned once. Also, in section 8.2 SH, it also...
And today, next is Jonathan Gold. Whenever you're ready, you may begin your comment.
I'm a pediatrician. I am also the chair of the Government Affairs Committee for the Michigan chapter of the American Academy of Pediatrics. We represent 1,500 pediatricians across the state, which is the vast majority of pediatricians in the state. And we support this updated standards. We support them because it is evidence-based and it's based on science. 17 years is a very long time to have health standards not be updated. Information is updated, in our field yearly, and time clearly shows up in how the standards are implemented. I'm also on the Sex Ed Advisory Board of my local district, and there I can tell you that both the students and the teachers are really desperate for more updated information, and these guidelines I think will help do that because they will drive the development of curriculum that allows that to happen. Thank you very much.
So, next is Jennifer Oster. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
My name is Jen Oster, and I'm here today as a concerned Michigan parent of 7 boys, as well as a local school board trustee in northern Michigan. The updated health education standards framework that you have been discussing and have on the agenda to bring for a vote represents the epitome of parental concern surrounding the indoctrination of our children by the public school system in our state. It is shameful that these updates are even being considered. If you adopt these new standards, the number of families withdrawing from this failed system will only continue to increase. It is past time for this board to spend your resources and energy on increasing student learning, particularly in the areas of literacy and mathematics, and less time infringing on the inherent rights of parents to determine the upbringing of their children. You need to shift your focus to ensuring robust education and abandon the ideological instruction that continues to sow distrust and division in our communities. To Ms. Steiter and Mr. McMillan, I thank you from the bottom of my heart for your strong stand, for your faithful stand for students and for families in our state.
Thank you for your comment today. Next is Robert Downey. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Roger Downey from Brooklyn, Michigan. Health education is about cleanliness, right choices, healthy lifestyles that have always been given freely throughout all grades. Wash your hands. Can you find another way to express your feelings? Eat healthy, and so on. Plus, there are middle school, high school, and upper elementary school curriculums that are developed for that. Now you are pushing sex ed to the limit with your state-endorsed program that parents have to opt out if they do not want their children exposed to this, as K through 12. And you are planning to implement that sex ed has to be taken for graduation. No, these school districts are ours. We are trying to get our schools up to a point that our state is no longer 46th in place in the nation in reading, math, science, and comprehension. And you're going to force this sex ed on all grades. You are taking away the means to educate our children with what they need and what our parents want.
Thank you for your comment today.
Thank
you. I'll call for a second time the few names. We have Alicia Childers. Thank you. Erica Lyken, Brent Hale, and Tracy Edmond. All right. We will now move to those to the queue online.
Point of order. I've gotten text from...
Excuse me, Mr. McMillan.
Point of order.
Mr. McMillan.
I've gotten text from people that have been on, were kicked off after 30 minutes, been on the line, kicked off again, so...
Yeah, it's been 2 hours.
No, they got kicked off.
That's correct.
They're supposed to get kicked off?
It's a function of the system to be able to call in for. Right.
They can come back in.
They can call back in and they'll be able to get their back in the queue for public comment.
Thank you, Mr. McMillan.
All right, we'll now go to the queue online. Hello, caller, can you hear me?
Hello.
Hello, caller, if you'll please state your name and where you're calling from, you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
Hello, my name is Jihyun Ko, and I'm a student in Southeast Michigan, who's also with the Michigan Organization for Adults in Sexual Health. I want to speak for the students who are not getting the health education they need. Across our region, what students learn depends on what a teacher has time or training to cover difficult topics. Without clear standards, most teachers simply cannot take this on alone, and the information students receive varies by districts and schools. I think about my LGBTQ+ friends who have never had a lesson that speaks to their identities. Classmates trying to understand gender identity or sexual orientation with no guidance. Students struggle with anxiety, depression, or substance use and feel that they are left to figure it out by themselves. As a student, please help our young people learn about the issues that they are living through. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, caller, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Whenever you're ready, please state your name and where you're calling from, and you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
Hi, my name is Lauren Ricci Parker. I'm calling from Rochester Hills, Michigan. I'm calling to support updates to the health education standards because our students deserve guidance that reflects the realities of today, not 2007.
These updates modernize our approach to include essential topics like consent, safety, and respect, healthy relationships, and mental well-being. The importance of inclusion and empathy. There are a lot of misconceptions out there, so let's be clear. No lessons are being forced, and no rights are being taken away. Local districts remain fully in control of their curriculum, and parents continue to play an active, central role in the children's education. These updates simply ensure that every student has access to accurate, age-appropriate information that helps them stay safe, grow confidently, and build strong, respectful relationships. This is a positive, responsible step forward for our schools and our community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Can you hear me?
Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Whenever you're ready, please state your
If you could please mute the YouTube in the background.
your 1 minute of public comment.
Yeah, my name is Tracy Hobbs, and I am a school psychologist who serves on the Michigan Association of School Psychologists Executive Board. Speaking on our behalf, our executive board voted unanimously to support the adoption of the proposed draft health education.
You can continue, sir.
Oh, I'm sorry. The updated draft framework correctly emphasizes mental health, healthy relationships, and skill building alongside traditional health topics. Represents a critical step forward. The comprehensive approach is directly supported by my profession's leading body, the National Association of School Psychologists, a position statement on comprehensive sexuality education, which firmly advocates for programs that are medically accurate and developmentally appropriate, inclusive, and skill-based. As a school psychologist, I understand that knowledge is a protective factor by equipping students with comprehensive evidence-based health and sexuality education.
Thank you for your comment today. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
If you please state your name and where you're calling from, you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
This is Rena Salem. I'm calling from Sterling Heights, Michigan. If you approve these standards as is, you will be creating more harm than good because the increasing number of people who will opt out will miss out on basic sex ed. Doesn't that matter to you? I don't think it does matter to you because this is political. There is a lot of honey being mixed with poison here for politically motivated people. It's disgusting to turn children's safe educational spaces into an adult's political battleground. There are 3 lies being pushed by proponents of the standards. Lie number 1 is that this is all or nothing. Nobody is against all updates. Lie number 2 is that gender expression and gender identity are equal in research. Nobody wants the LGBTQIA+ community to be bullied. There is zero science to support the encouragement of 11-year-olds to deny their birth gender, especially when science shows it will lead to a more difficult life. It's those who support the standards that are opposed to science. Everything is backwards here. Lie number 3 is that this is aligned with the Elliott-Larsen Act of 2023. This is a poor citation. Why the confusion of inserting sex ed into health ed? Even if kids can opt out, that's extremely deceptive. Why not just separate it entirely out of health ed? It's not that hard.
Thank
I'm
you
sure
for your
everyone who's
comment
being paid by
today,
their
caller. Thank you. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Yes.
If you could please state your name and where you're calling from, you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Barb Annis, a trustee with Rochester Community Schools, speaking today as an individual and not on behalf of the RCS School Board. Our kids, our world, and what they need to know in health and sex ed has changed since 2007, and as the saying goes, when you know better, you do better. I support the revisions because every student deserves and should be seen in accurate, age-appropriate health and sex education that supports their social, emotional, and physical well-being. These updates still protect what matters most: parental rights, transparency, and local control. Parents can review lessons, opt out if they wish, and districts still decide how the standards are taught. Public education serves all students and is not a religious institution. That means teaching biological facts clearly, addressing sex and gender without bias, and fostering respect and empathy with honest questions should be encouraged and not silenced or shamed. We owe it to Michigan students to give them the tools to lead healthy, informed, and respectful lives, and I urge
Thank you
to
for your
approve the
comment
standards
today.
as presented.
Thank you. Hello, caller, can you hear me? If you could please mute the YouTube in your background.
Yes.
Thank you. If you could state your name and where you're calling from, you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
Good afternoon. My name is Beth Hewlett. I'm calling from Farmington Hills, Michigan. I am the Vice President for Communications for the Michigan PTA, and I'm speaking on behalf of more than 24,000 parents and families statewide. We strongly support the proposed Michigan Health Education Standards Framework. Michigan standards haven't been updated since 2007, and today's students face very different challenges, especially in mental health, safety, relationships, and overall wellness. These proposed standards provide medically sound, evidence-based, age-appropriate guidance that equips students to make healthy, informed decisions. We believe educating the whole child is essential to learning. When children are healthy, they are ready to succeed. This framework's comprehensive approach, including mental health, substance use, safety and relationships, nutrition, physical activity, and personal and
Thank you for your
sexual
comment
and
today.
community health.
Thank you, caller. Hello, caller, can you hear me? Caller, can you hear me? Hello there.
Oh, hello.
Hi, yes. If you would please state your name and where you're calling from, you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
Oh, I apologize. I stepped away for a second from the hold. Hi, good afternoon. My name is Helen Craig, and I'm calling from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan. I'm a former teacher and current school health coordinator at the Eastern Upper Peninsula Intermediate School District. I'm speaking today on behalf of the Michigan School Health Coordinators Association in support of the proposed health standards. These updated standards reflect a commitment to preparing every student with the knowledge, skills, practices, and confidence needed to make healthy choices throughout life. We want students to receive the comprehensive, relevant, and responsible health education they deserve. As regional school health coordinators, we support our school districts in adopting curriculum that meets their local health, community, and parent and caregiver needs. Regional school health coordinators strongly support adopting the Health Education Standards Framework, as it is grounded in expertise and reflects the realities students face today and tomorrow. Thank you for listening, and I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hello, caller, can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Thank you. If you please state your name and where you're calling from, you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
Great. My name is Nora Galprin. I'm calling from Washington, D.C. I'm the Director of Sex Education at Advocates for Youth. I'm a national expert in sex education with over 25 years' experience. I have trained hundreds of health teachers in Michigan, and I'm calling to encourage you to vote yes on these outstanding health education standards, since it would give health teachers exactly what they have been asking for. They provide clear guidance on age and developmentally appropriate knowledge and skills to protect students' health and safety both now and into the future. Michigan, like other states, is smart to update their health education standards to reflect the scientific evidence that keep kids healthy and safe. Parents and teachers want this kind of instruction and guidance. Kids deserve it, and Michigan law provides protections for parents who might feel differently. Please pass these outstanding health education standards so all Michigan students and families can benefit from a healthier tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, caller, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Are you there?
Yes.
Thank you. If you please state your name and where you're calling from, you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
Hi, my name is Charlotte. I'm an out-of-state student currently, but I grew up in Michigan and was part of Ann Arbor Public Schools and also the Washington International School District. I would like to advocate on behalf in support of this bill. I did not have access to comprehensive sex ed through my school, but instead I learned about topics such as contraception and LGBTQ identities and reproductive health through an outside program. I know that comprehensive sex education is incredibly important for students in our schools. It gives students the tools that they need to navigate their own beliefs as well as their sexual health and relationships. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. If you'd please state your name and where you're calling from, you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
Okay. Hi, my name is Jenny Line, and I'm calling from Petoskey, Michigan. I'm here to express my support. Having been raised through Michigan public schools, I know the desperate need that we have. One vantage point that I have is as an honors graduate from MSU's business school and graduate from U of M's full-time MBA program. After graduating, I learned the hard way that I was missing the confidence that comes from learning personal health, boundaries, and standing up for oneself. I've heard many people express their belief that parents should be responsible for teaching the proposed content. In my experience, though, many parents don't know what or how to teach for health or sex education. That was my personal experience, and I found myself realizing that my 20-year relationship was holding me back, getting a divorce, and not knowing how to advocate for myself, articulate boundaries, or maneuver STIs. This was the case for all the people who I met when seeking a new lifelong partner who also grew up in the same generation as me with the current health standards. So please consider the lifelong skills that these standards will foster when making your decision, and also that local districts and parents will have the control over what their students learn. Thank you.
Thank you. Caller, can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good. If you could please state your name and where you're calling from, you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
Great. My name is Lisa Jo Gagliardi. I'm calling from Hessel, Michigan. I am a child and adolescent health consultant working for over 18 years in different areas of school health and working with families as well. But I'm calling today as a parent, a step-parent, and a grandmother. And when we're talking about experts in the field, I want you to keep in mind many are parents, step-parents, or grandparents. I'm speaking today in strong support of the health education standards. I've reviewed them fully, and I understand my rights as a parent. Our youngest child is a senior in high school. She was born the same year the current standards were last updated in 2007. In just 2 years, I'll have a grandchild entering that same system. Nearly 2 decades without an update of it is unacceptable. One of our 4 children has autism, and I appreciate these standards better support of all students in learning about feelings, communication, and managing
Thank you for
stress.
your comment today.
Thank you.
Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Very good. If you could please state your name and where you're calling from, you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
Yes, ma'am. Greetings. My name is Mark Ashley Price, and I'm a former school board member of Holland Park. I called in last month to ask if the State Board of Education could help the Holland Park School District. That is also the same reason why I am calling in now to ask if the State Board of Education could help the Holland Park School District. It really needs help. So that's the same reason why I'm calling in now. Again, this is Mark Ashley Price, and I'm a former school board member of Holland Park. And God bless Michigan, and thank you guys for everything what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Hi.
Hi. If you could mute YouTube in the background, please.
Yes.
Thank you. If you could state your name and where you're calling from, you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
I'm a psychologist in Macomb County, and safety and inclusion are important. So what about the children who identify biologically as a boy or girl or straight? Do they not matter? My child was pulled from public education due to quote-unquote normal bullying. We had no help from board administration.
They handed us a flyer. We can't have a school psychologist sit in our schools, but we can pay superintendents $400,000 plus a year. This board has already failed us, especially during COVID, but also to our special education, literacy, and behavior interventions. This is America's turning point. This is beyond governmental overreach. The lawsuits will begin and school vouchers will be pushed. Or make it clear that parents can opt out without repercussion. Do the right thing. Fix what is already broken, not add more problems to it. Vote against this. Choose people over politics.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Very good. If you could please state your name and where you're calling from, you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
My name is Nopal Huria. I grew up in Canton, Michigan, went to MSU, and I'm currently a medical student at Harvard Medical School. I experienced the sex education curriculum, and now on the other side, I see how the lessons we didn't learn show up later in patient wounds. I've helped care for patients who lived years with undiagnosed conditions like endometriosis, teens misinformed by social media about contraception or consent, and queer patients who delayed care because they never saw themselves reflected in the classroom. These are preventable. When students receive medically accurate, inclusive information, they're less likely to face confusion, delayed diagnoses, or make unsafe decisions down the line. These standards give young people the knowledge and confidence to understand their bodies and advocate for their health. As a future physician and as someone shaped by Michigan's classrooms, I urge you to adopt these standards so every student grows up informed, supported, and seen. Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
I can.
Thank you. If you could please state your name and where you're calling from, you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
Bree Mogenberg, Isabella County. No matter how much you polish a turd, it's still a turd. Someone said these standards are about safety. They are not. Here are 2 reasons. 1, if you want to teach healthy relationships about trusted adults, you must also include the flip side of what is not a trusted adult. It must include that students define and identify signs of groomers and predators. Number 2, just as with dental cleaning, drug use, and unprotected sex, consequences must be taught. Standards must teach the dangers of gender-affirming hormone therapy and sex conversion. If you pluck 2 peaches from a tree, they cannot be replaced. If you slice a piece of sausage off the package, it cannot be reattached. The lack of teaching consequences is dangerous. These standards are not safe. They set students up for harm and schools for lawsuits. Well, I truly appreciate the updates.
Thank you
These
for your
standards
comment
are
today.
Not yet ready.
Thank you, caller, for your call today.
Bless you.
Hello, caller. Can you hear me? Hello, caller. Are you there?
I am here, yes.
Very good. If you could please state your name and where you're calling from, you may provide your 1 minute of public comment.
Am I live? Hi.
Go ahead, sir.
Yes, this is Adam Mozup. I am a parent of 2 and a Dearborn School Board member. I do want to make sure that I'm speaking on my personal capacity here. After reviewing the draft, I urge the board to reconsider the current recommendations and allow great flexibility for local districts to determine what best serves their students. My concerns are rooted in the following points. First, community diversity. Michigan communities are not monolithic. Districts like Dearborn reflect a unique cultural, religious, and social context. Local boards are better positioned to adapt health education to reflect the values and needs of their families. Secondly, is parental trust. Parents expect their schools to be responsive to their voices. When standards are mandated at the state level, families often feel excluded from decision-making directly that affects their children's upbringing. I would urge you to reconsider those standards and have local districts.
Thank you for your call today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
I can. Thank you.
Thank you. If you please state your name and where you're calling from, you may provide your 1 minute of public comment.
Thank you. My name is Melissa Gray, and I'm a clinical psychologist and an educator in Southeast Michigan. I'm here to support the proposed framework because these evidence-based standards shine a light on what is often unnecessarily hidden from students. Even though diversity in gender and sexual orientation has been a part of natural human experience across the world and throughout human history, many LGBTQ plus students feel like they do not belong in school because there's no recognition that people like them exist. I've witnessed their subsequent injuries of exclusion and invisibility, as well as their resilience when they learn about gender diversity and transgender people who have accomplished amazing things. There's no reason to hide gender and sexual orientation diversity. Scientific research shows this diversity is healthy and natural, and inclusion goes hand in hand with safer and more respectful learning environments. These updated standards make the best standards in education available to parents and educators. Please support the opportunity for them to shine a light in schools and approve.
Thank you for your comment today, caller.
Thank you.
Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Yep. Hello.
Hi. If you could please state your name and where you're calling from, you may provide your 1 minute of public comment.
I can walk outside for a second. Shane Pruitt, Grosse Pointe, Michigan.
Very good. Go ahead and provide your comment, sir.
Yeah, no, I just personally feel that parents should still have options when it comes to sexual education. It shouldn't be combined with health ed. I feel that, we should be able to express our religious background, that we raise our kids with certain moral values, and be able to protect that with the option to opt out of any sexual education that our children are going to have to go through while they're in public schools, and combine it with the health ed kind of muddies the water there. I think it's a bad idea.
Thank you.
That's it.
Okay, thank you, caller.
Mm-hmm.
Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Hello.
Hi. If you could please state your name and where you're calling from, you may provide your 1 minute of public comment.
Yeah, my name is Kira Hilton. I'm calling from Middleville, Michigan. I'm a school board member, and I'm also on the Sex Education Advisory Board. I'm calling with great concern. The National Conference on Preventative Medicine in 1975 defined health education as, quote, a process that informs, motivates, and helps people to adopt and maintain healthy practices and lifestyles, advocates environmental changes as needed to facilitate this goal, and conducts professional training and research to the same end. The Joint Committee on Health Education and Promotion terminology of 2001 defined health education as any combination of planned learning experiences based on sound theories that provide individuals, groups, and communities the opportunity to acquire information and the skills needed to make quality health decisions. The purpose of health class is to provide students with health risks they may face and how to avoid those risks. Health class does not discriminate. It teaches about drugs, addiction, alcohol, disease, hygiene, nutrition, and ways to keep yourself physically.
Thank you,
and
caller,
mentally
for your call today. Thank you.
You guys are a joke.
Hello, caller. Can you hear me? Caller, can you hear me?
Hello, yes.
Thank you. If you please state your name and where you're calling from, you may begin your 1 minute of public comment.
Hello, my name is Megan Miller, and I strongly oppose these health standards. I'm here as a concerned parent and citizen who cares deeply about the health and moral foundation of our children in Michigan. These standards introduce controversial concepts that conflict with the beliefs of many families in Michigan and undermine parental authority. At the October meeting, over 50 people spoke and 48 opposed these standards. Our Constitution says that the government derives its power from the consent of the governed. As elected officials, you have a duty to listen and act on the public's vote. As a follower of Jesus, I believe Proverbs 22:6, train up a child in the way that he should go. Parents have the God-given responsibility to guide their children's hearts and minds. These standards risk replacing that with ideology that does not align with biblical truth. How we teach our children to be joyful, full of character and integrity, we teach them about Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior, who gives hope and forgiveness. True joy doesn't come from
Thank you for
cultural
your
trends.
call
It comes from
today.
knowing the one.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
I sure can. Can you hear me?
I sure can. If you please state your name and where you're calling from, you may provide your 1 minute of public comment.
I sure can. My name is Scott Nugent, and I'm calling from Indiana.
Thank you.
Well, I called because, you know, there's very few people that have all the boxes checked. I'm a transgender man, lesbian who medically transitioned, also was on the Matt Walsh's What is a Woman, so-called hero. Also have 3 kids. So I've got all those boxes checked. And all I want to say is that medical transition is cosmetic surgery. I deserve all the respect and dignity that anybody else does, but it's not something for a child. And the LGBTQ, unfortunately, what a lot of people don't realize, this agenda that's being pushed into our schools, this queer theory, was coined by 3 individuals. And this is the truth. One's a pedophile, one was not a pedophile but okay with it, and one was a lesbian who was okay with pedophilia as long as the child enjoyed themselves. So
thank you for your call today. Thank you for your comments. Your time is up, caller. Thank you, caller. Nope, your time is up. I'm sorry. Thank you. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Hi there. Yes, 1 second. Please let me mute this.
Thank you.
So that I can read to you.
When you're ready, if you'd state your name and where you're calling from, you may provide your 1 minute.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Alicia Childers. I am from Macomb County, and I am aware that some of this board has made it extremely clear through some of your statements and media. Nearly 2,000 parents signed a petition in just the past week asking for you to listen, yet you're moving away and you're going forward with this even though we are against it. Even providing secret access for your LGBTQ activists, strategically placing them throughout the lineup so that we are not able to speak. And that speaks volumes in this election year coming up. This isn't about raising healthy kids. It's about pushing ideology under the guise of curing bullying. Bullying should absolutely be handled throughout parents and administration, not through political lessons and curriculum. Michigan already rejected this Massachusetts-style model last year through a vote. At the end of the day, sex ed is not health ed by law. And also, Michigan ranks 44th out of 50 in education. Michigan parents are not misinformed like the president running for state senate mentioned. The ones being escorted in and out of this, they're the ones that are not reading the draft, and literally this replaces the parental authority with government-approved beliefs.
Thank you for your call today, caller. Thank you for your comment.
So we are against it.
Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
I can, yes.
Thank you. If you could please mute YouTube in the background.
I will do that.
Thank you. There you go. When you're ready, if you could please state your name and where you're calling from, you may provide your 1 minute of comment.
Yes, hi. My name is Kimberly, and I'm calling from Detroit. I am writing to express my strong opposition to this amended sex education curriculum that is being proposed. I have a small child. The proposal not only undermines parental rights, but also unnecessarily promotes the over-sexualization of children by emphasizing topics such as sexual orientation and gender identity. Also, there should have been several in-person community meetings to allow people to voice their input on this critically important issue. It's unacceptable that people were only given the option to participate in a hearing in Lansing or to submit online comments. We have board members from all over the state, and there should have been much more engagement on this critically important issue. I firmly believe that introducing our children to sexual orientation and gender identity are unnecessary and should be left to the parents to determine when or if they would like to discuss this issue with their children.
Thank you for your comment today. Hello, caller. Can you hear me? Hello, caller. Are you there?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hello, there you are. If you could state your name and where you're calling from, you may provide your 1 minute of public comment.
My name is Tiffany, calling from Detroit. I am here to state in the strongest possible terms that I oppose any effort by the Michigan Department of Education, school districts, educators to promote, teach, or include gender ideology identity in classrooms. Material is not academic, it is not educational. It is ideological and has absolutely no place in K-12 schools, any grade level or age. These are deeply personal beliefs that belong in the home under the guise of parents, not inside government-run classrooms. I also firmly oppose all revised standards, attempts to insert this ideology into health education, social emotional learning, academic benchmarks, or staff training. Embedding this content into standards is an overstep of the authority and the direct violation of parental rights. Michigan schools are facing real academic crisis, declining scores, math gaps, persistent safety concerns. Instead of focusing on these priorities, the state is pushing ideological material that divides families and distracts from learning. I'm urging the board to reject every policy.
Thank you for your comment today, caller.
Thank you.
Thank you. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
And if you please state your name and where you're calling from, you may provide your 1 minute of public comment.
Okay, thank you. My name is Barb Bliss, and I'm the founder of Parent Action for Healthy Kids, located in South Lyon, Michigan. I support the proposed health standards. They are solid. They apprise districts of the scope of health education. Beyond the business of the health standards on today's agenda, there is a fundamental choice that everyone will make today. No matter how this vote goes, I want to bring dignity front and center. Dignity resides in all of us. A culture of contempt has pulled us away from our own dignity. Our children and adolescents are watching. The them versus us, they won, we lost mindset lures us into contempt. Today, each of us will make a choice. Practice dignity or practice contempt. We all share complicity in building this monster of contempt in our words, actions, and social media feeds. Contempt has fed our fears and created habits that distance us rather than connect us.
Thank you for your comment today. Thank you, caller. Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Very good. If you could please state your name and where you're calling from, you may provide your 1 minute of public comment.
Thank you. My name is Kirsten, and I'm calling from Grand Rapids. I am a registered nurse and a member of the Michigan Association of School Nurses, representing more than 400 nurses serving in 225 school districts across our state. I'm here today to strongly support the Michigan Health Education Standards Framework. Every day, I see how a student's health directly impacts their learning and success. The Michigan Association of School Nurses supports these updated standards that give students the tools they need to stay safe, make informed choices, and take charge of their own well-being. They teach vital skills like how to respond to health emergencies, advocate for themselves in healthcare settings, understand their own rights, and even save lives through CPR and AED training. Every child deserves a safe and supportive environment where health education promotes both physical and emotional well-being. School nurses are proud to partner in this mission. Every day, we care for students facing the very health concerns addressed in these standards. We see every day how accurate, evidence-based education protects students' health and safety and empowers students to take an active role in their own health.
Thank you for your call today. Thank you,
Thank
caller.
you.
Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Hello, yes. Can you hear me?
I sure can. If you please state your name and where you're calling from, you may provide your 1 minute of public comment.
Sure. Thanks so much. My name is Erica Lycan. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm calling from Ypsilanti, Michigan. I'm a trans, non-binary parent to a 9-year-old and co-founder of the People's Coalition. I'm speaking to you today as someone who would have benefited from inclusive sex and health education standards while growing up, and know my 9-year-old son will benefit from these updated standards. As I began dating in my teens, I had no tools on how to participate in a conversation around sex. I experienced sexual violence in my relationship and was not equipped to deal with it, didn't feel safe to share or tell adults about it until I was myself an adult. This emotional trauma affected much of my academic work in high school. I don't have time to address gender or sexual identity now, but it would have been so affirming to see myself represented and included in this way at school and saved me years of therapy. I would have benefited from a comprehensive health and sex education program, and I am strongly in support of these standards. If we want informed and empowered children that grow into informed and empowered adults, we have to be willing to give them the education and tools in our school system.
Thank you, caller, for your comment today.
Yep. Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, caller. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Very
My
good.
name is Katie McFarland. I'm a parent in Oakland County, Michigan. I vehemently oppose these new health standards that the Democrats on the Michigan Board of Education are trying to impose on children and families. You know, there's families of all different religions and backgrounds within the public schools. Parents have the fundamental right to raise their children. These standards just further exemplify your blatant disrespect for parents, especially Christians who understand the absolute truth that God created each and every one of us perfectly in his own image, and we need to be telling our children that and teaching them the truth and not harming them, as you have all been doing, except for, of course, Tom and Mickey. You know, if you want to talk about inclusion, let's stick to the basics of what I tell my kids. Be that leader who invites a kid who has no one to sit with to join you and your friends at your lunch table. Simple, common sense teachings of morality and kindness without pushing agendas that go against values being taught in the home are all that is needed for ensuring all students feel welcome and included in their school. You know, I look forward to seeing all of you sued. The Democrats on this board sued.
Thank you for your comment today. Thank you.
Those are all the registered callers.
Thank you so much. This concludes public participation.
Thank you very much, Ms. Evans, and thank you to all the comments. Next on the agenda for today is item E, the approval of minutes of regular and committee of the whole of October 14th, 2025. May I please have a motion to approve the minutes of the regular and committee of the whole meeting of October 14th, 2025. Senator Bullock and Dr. Pritchett. Any discussion? Ms. Evans, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Bullock? Yes. Lipton? Yes. McMillan?
No.
Pritchett?
Yes.
Pugh?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Snyder?
Pass.
And Tilly?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you very much. Next item is item F, the approval of the minutes of the Legislative Committee meeting held on November 6th, 2025. Dr. Pritchett, thank you. Is there a second? Dr. Robinson, thank you very much. Any discussion? Thank you, Ms. Evans.
Bullock?
Yes.
Lipton?
Yes.
McMillan?
No.
Pritchett?
Yes.
Pugh? Robinson? Yes. Snyder?
Pass.
And Tilly?
Yes. Thank you very much. And the next item is item G, the presentation and approval of the proposed health education standard guidelines. Standards which were approved in 2007 are now outdated due to significant changes that have occurred since that time. Revising the 2007 health standards will enhance their alignment with the National Health Education Standards, which were updated in 2024. The proposed standards, or the proposed updated standards, were presented to the State Board on September 9th, 2025. We held a period of public comment. In addition, additional changes have been made to reflect these and other comments. Today you will hear an overview of the changes based on the themes from public comment. Following the presentation, board members will be able to asked to approve the updated comments. Welcome to our presenter, Dr. Diane Gozinski, Deputy Superintendent of Division of Business, Health, and Library Services. Amy Alanaise, who is the Director of Health and Safety. Ms. Amy Wassman, Supervisor of the Office of Health and Safety. Ms. Stacy Seals is a Regional School Health Coordinator in Ottawa ISD, sorry about that, and she's a former health education teacher. Welcome, presenters.
Thank you, Dr. Carnell, and thank you, Board, for this time. We appreciate it.
Today we are here to present a revised draft that has followed the public comment period of the K-12 Health Education Standards Guidelines for your consideration and adoption. This draft moves beyond the outdated guidance from 2007 to emphasize essential practices such as self-awareness, goal setting, all advocacy, all delivered through inclusive, trauma-informed, and developmentally appropriate instruction. As you may remember, we presented the first draft of the standards at the September 9th board meeting. We then opened for public comment for 30 days. That formal public comment period closed on October 10th. We had the draft standards posted on our website. We had social media posts that were encouraging public comment, and we also had multiple press releases encouraging public comment and clarifying parent opt-out provisions. We continued to receive additional emails on the topic, and we followed the established processes, making sure that revisions were made to the Health Education Standards Guidelines. So as you may remember, the first draft was called the Framework. It is now called the Guidelines. Those are grounded in subject matter expertise and designed to reflect the choices that students face today for their future health. The practices for health education are applied to important topics that make up health education, including mental and emotional health, safety, healthy relationships, balanced eating and physical activity, substance use and misuse, personal health and wellness, community and environmental health, and in Michigan, the option of sex education.
So we just wanted to take a moment and discuss the 30-day public comment period that we had. We had a formal survey system open for the full 30 days. During that time, we had 1,338 surveys completed. There were 924 that opposed. And then in bold there, you can see the top reasonings for opposing. Gender topics included in the health standards guidelines. Sex ed should not be included, or sex ed should be separated out from the health ed standards. Parent opt-out believed to be removed, and the belief that proposing standards is legislative overreach. We also had 250 that supported, and then we have the reasons for that, on the need for updating standards, the guidelines being more inclusive of all students, and then the alignment to the national standards that were passed about a year ago. And then we did have another bucket of surveys that we did not count in that because they either were not from Michigan, or they did not say clearly if they supported or opposed. Outside of the actual formal survey system public comment, we received many, many emails. We had over 2,000 emails sent to board members and or MDE staff. And with those emails, we had 896 that opposed for the same types of reasonings. And we also had over 1,100 that were in support for the same reasonings of the inclusivity and updated standards. We also had public comment that was received during board meetings. I will not spend a lot of time on that because you were all here for that portion of that. So you all heard that, but just to summarize, we had about 50 commenters opposing with 17 commenters supporting. So we also received formal letters from our associations and organizations across the state. We did have 3 formal letters of support from 3 different parent associations: the Michigan Parent Association, or Parent Teacher Association, I apologize, Parent Action for Healthy Kids, and the Red, Wine, and Blue Michigan. Those numbers in the parentheses are their membership count. In addition, we had a variety of educational associations that sent documentation of support that are up there on there. I won't go all over all of them, but Association of Intermediate School Administrators, the Michigan Education Association, Elementary and Middle School Principals Association, the Association of School Boards, the Association of Secondary School Principals, Superintendents and Administrators, and the Michigan Health Coordinators Association to be represent some of those. We also had health associations that supported the that sent formal letters of documentation of support. Among these are the Michigan Chapter American Academy of Pediatrics, the Michigan Public Health Association, Michigan Health and Hospital Association, and Michigan Association of School Nurses, among others. We also received a few other associations that sent formal documentation of support, the IMPACT program out of University of Michigan, the Student Power Alliance, the Unitarian Universalist Social Justice Network, and Puberty the Wonder Years. So those were just some of the formal letters of support that we received at the department.
So we took the feedback from all of those. We reviewed the feedback from the surveys, the emails to board members, public comment during September and October State Board of Education meetings, and letters of support from state organizations and made edits based on those common themes. First, we reviewed the standards relating to gender topics to assure gender identity and gender expression were only under the sex education topic standards. We reorganized the guidelines into 3 sections to be clearer, with an appendix outlining all related health and sex education laws in Michigan. We moved sex education topic to its own section within the guidelines so it is separate from the other health topics. We outlined all laws related to sex education, gender identity, and gender expression, including the Elliott Larson Civil Rights Act, in multiple places within the guidelines. We kept in gender when we looked at the feedback. Those who stated they opposed gender in our health ed standards was at 1,083, but we had 1,151 individuals say that they supported gender in our health standards, and all of our state organizations that were listed on the PowerPoints also supported that inclusion. Our next theme that we saw in the feedback in opposition was around sex education included in health ed. Sex ed has been part of Michigan's public education system since 1959. Another theme that we talked about was adding sex ed to the health ed class. And Michigan law states that only teachers that have a health endorsement can teach sex education. That is why, historically, sex ed units resides in the health ed courses. To add clarity to the document, we reviewed the historical documents validating the sex education has been part of Michigan's comprehensive health education standards in previous versions, including the most recent 2007 version. We repositioned standards to help clarify that sex education topics are only required under the sex education section of the guidelines. We changed the name from sexual health to sex education to add clarity. We reorganized the guidelines into 3 sections to be clearer and to add an appendix outlining all related health and sex education laws in Michigan. We moved sex education topic to its own section within the guidelines so it is separate from the other health topics. Another theme that came up was around parent opt-out. MDE, with the thought that MDE was removing the parent opt-out piece. MDE is not, nor has the authority to override a state law. Edits in this revised health education standard guidelines include enhancing language concerning parent rights and opt-out laws, reinforcing parental authority throughout the document, including wording in multiple areas in the new draft to make parent rights clearer throughout the document, made it more explicitly clear that all sex education provided must follow every aspect of the law, including parent notification and opt-out. Reorganizing the guidelines into 3 sections to be clear and added an appendix outlining all related health and sex education laws in Michigan. Moving sex education topic to its own section within the guidelines so it is separate from the other health topics. And reviewing standards to assure that sex education topics were only under the sex education guidelines. Another theme that came out in regards to opposition was the legislative overreach. We have addressed this concern by outlining the law, MCL 380.1278, requiring the development and adoption of standards in addition to the laws supporting local control for curriculum choice, including sex education if it is offered. Reorganize the guidelines into 3 sections to be clearer, with an appendix outlining all the related health and sex education laws in Michigan. We moved sex education topic to its own section within the guidelines, so it is separate from the other health topics, repeating the related laws. We outlined all laws related to health education in multiple places within the guidelines. We made it more explicitly clear that all sex ed education must follow every aspect of the law, including the Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act, in multiple places within the guidelines. Finally, the graduation requirement. Those in opposition expressed concern that the new guidelines would require sex ed as part of the health education requirement for graduation. The edited guidelines clearly outlines that this is not the case. The new guidelines outlined in the law, while health education is a requirement for graduation, districts select the course content, methods, and instructional resources that will meet that requirement. We linked MCL 380.1507 and clearly stated that even if a district chooses to include sex education unit as part of the health education course, parents still have the right to opt their child out of sex education without penalty or loss of academic credit. We clarified that sex ed cannot be embedded into other academic classes. We reorganized the guidelines into 3 sections to be clearer and to add an appendix outlining all related health and sex education laws in Michigan. We outlined all laws related to health education in multiple places within the guidelines. We made it more explicitly clear that all sex education must follow every aspect of the law, including the ability to opt their child out of sex education without penalty or loss of academic credit.
Okay, I'm speaking today about what it looks like at the local level. I'm a school health consultant, so I work with our local districts and our local educators, also a former health teacher as well. Districts will use health education standards guidelines as a guide when reviewing, selecting, and developing their health education curriculum. Districts use student and community data to choose which lessons in the health curriculum should be taught. If sex education is included, sex education advisory boards, what have been called CEABs today, should use student and community data to recommend sex education lessons and curricula to the local school district for approval. So this is what would happen in every local district that would go through this process. Parents must receive notification that sex education unit and lessons are coming up. Districts must offer parents the opportunity to review all of the materials. Districts must offer parents the opportunity to opt out. Teachers only use the local CEAB recommended and local board approved curriculum to teach sex education. So with that, regional school health coordinators like myself provide technical assistance and training to support districts and educators in following health and sex education laws and best practices. I just want to add too that that is already in place. What we have right now since 2007 is what's also listed on this slide.
Thank you, Stacy. In summary, Article 8, Section 3 of the Michigan Constitution requires MDE and all local districts to follow all laws of the state of Michigan. That includes the 2023 Elliott-Larsen Civil Rights Act, which includes provisions to ensure equal opportunities for a quality education and to promote inclusivity, which includes sexual orientation and gender identity. The 2007 version of the health education standards are outdated, and they need to be updated to reflect today's society and the pressures on our children, as well as the new Michigan laws. Educators have been requesting this update for years to include those relevant topics. As a result, we are seeking your approval of the newly revised Health Education Standards Guidelines as presented. Thank you. Dr. Carnell?
Thank you, Dr. Golzinski and team. I also want to introduce Ms. Lori Beckhoffer. She's our content expert. It works at the department, so welcome, Lori. So once we have a motion and a second on the health standards, then we can open the floor to discussion. Is there a motion to adopt or approve? Thank you. Thank you. All right, discussion? Ms. Snyder.
So I'll start with a couple of just questions and then refer to a number of different statutes and documents that are updated. What are these, standards or guidelines? It says Michigan Health Education Standards Guidelines. Which one?
It's standards guidelines.
Okay. The Department of Education does not have a statutory authority to develop standards. You refer to the statutory authority of the State Board of Education. It is the only body that has the statutory authority to develop standards and adopt them. You have the statutory authority to develop guidelines in relationship to health education, which is very specifically prescribed by the legislature. And yet I laugh, Amy, because you suggest that the legislature has overstepped. In fact, the department has overstepped. And then you ask the State Board of Education to adopt these things as if it was our idea to begin with, and we did not have any opportunity to develop them ourselves, even though it is, in fact, our statutory authority to do such. So who did, in fact, develop them? I feel like we need to name the people who developed these. If they are not members of the State Board of Education, then we need to take a huge step back. And that's before I even challenge the validity of what's on the table here.
So, Ms., if I can.
I'm sorry, no, not yet. I'm asking questions. I'd like them to be answered honestly, and then I would like to continue to go with the turn that I have.
One's arguing that.
Okay.
So my question to you is, which law are you referring to that says that the State Board of Ed develops standards?
Well, actually, you've included it in the very beginning of the document.
Mm-hmm.
So you have it.
Which one are you? We have
At
several
the very
in the
beginning.
document. We have several in the document. So just checking with you, which one are you referring to?
.380.1278 Core Academic Curriculum. State Board shall develop and periodically update recommended Model Core Academic Curriculum content standards. 380.1278A Health Credit Education Requirement. At least one credit in subject matter that includes both health and physical education aligned with guidelines developed by the Department of Education and approved by the State Board.
Yep.
You have the statutory authority to develop guidelines, not standards. That's a fundamental concept of what we're working with right now. So when I say, what are these? And you say they're standards guidelines, there's an intentional muddying of the water already. But let's go back to really the beginning of the intentional muddying of the water, to take state law, which has separated health education and sex education, and throw it out the window. And I'd argue today we've found that many people believe that parental rights should be taken away. That's the fundamental reason why we're here today and arguing about this. So you say you reviewed historical documents validating that sex education has been a part of Michigan's comprehensive health education standards in previous versions, including the most recent 2007 version. This is the 2007 version. The very front of that says these are Michigan Merit Curriculum Credit Guidelines, because that's what you have the statutory authority to develop. So, no, in fact, it is a blatant lie that you are presenting here today that you've reviewed historical documents validating that sex education has always been a part of Michigan's comprehensive health education standards.
Ms.
No,
Snyder.
I am going to continue, so you do not get to interrupt me.
Ms. Snyder, I will not have you call the staff
It
a
is a
lie.
blatant lie.
I will not have you call the staff a lie.
Showing you the proof, and I am not going to back down. It's very clear that these are guidelines from 2007, and that you are suggesting that sex education has you're not even suggesting it, you're stating it, that they've always been in health education standards. They have not been. I'm going to keep going, Sue.
Ms. Snyder.
So here we are.
We will not
now
have
health
just
education
like we,
standards
Ms. Snyder.
guidelines.
Ms. Snyder.
I am not out of order, Sue. You do not need to interrupt me.
Just like we have the public not call out people on the board, I would ask board members to respect staff. That's all I'm asking.
Are lies.
That's your opinion. I would ask that you not disrespect the staff.
It's not an opinion. For those listening online and those who are engaged, if you look up the 2007 Michigan Merit Curriculum Credit Guidelines, which is what the state legislation and statute has that has given you the prescribed authority to develop in health education credit, we have not previously had sex education standards in health education. That is inaccurate. Is that a nicer way to say it? That is an incredible inaccuracy that we need to acknowledge. Okay, so now you're presenting us with health education standards, guidelines, conflating the difference between the statutes that give you the authority to do what you do, give us the authority to do what we do, so that you can intentionally conflate the difference between health education and sex education. That is literally the act of grooming a public before you can eventually groom them with the topics that you choose to define as health education. So let's look at laws and model policies that guide school health service programs in Michigan. It's a resource for school nurses. I'm a school nurse myself. I'm in schools every day as well. This was adopted in 2013 and revised in January of 2024. I'm going to go through the table of contents that governs all of the laws and model policies that guide school health services programs in Michigan. This is what defines health education. Absenteeism, abuse, anaphylaxis, asthma, autism, bloodborne pathogens, bullying, cardiac emergency response plans, child protection, communicable disease, concussions, confidentiality, controlled substances, coordinated school health, curriculum, delegation and scope of practice, dental, diabetes, do not attempt to resuscitate, environment, emergency preparedness, family engagement, first aid and CPR, hearing and vision, health disparities, health services, HIV, immunizations, marijuana, medical administration, meningitis, mental health, opioids, oral health, pregnancy safe delivery, record retention, reproductive health, restraint and seclusion, rights of minors, school nursing, school safety, school wellness, social worker role, suicide, sun safety, telehealth, and tobacco. There is key federal legislation and state legislation that defines what health education is in our schools. None of it includes sex education. That is intentional. That is historical. And what is happening here is not only is there not a legislative overstep, there is a Department of Education massive overstep that is happening because you are conflating two different statutes. You do not have the authority to do it. And you are conflating two different topics that you do not have the authority to confuse the public with the intention of truly, eventually repealing the sex education law. And then parental rights will be gone. That has already been attempted. House Bill 6068 last session, when it was blue head to toe, did not even make it out of committee. What they intended to do at that point in time was to erase all of the shalls in the sex education law and make them musts, right? If we shall do something and it's local control to do it, and we now must do something, there are no parental rights, are there? That did not make it out of committee. The other thing they tried to do is with the Sex Education Advisory Board is they said, you know what? It's made up of different members of the community, right? They crossed out clergy and they remained community health professionals. What we've seen here today is a number of community health professionals that are willing to show up and say that such standards should be rooted in essentially worshiping the altar of identity being centered in sexuality. When there is no proof that that's how Michigan roots health education. There are people that believe their identity is defined by something entirely different and separate from sexual identity and gender. When we attempt to go about policy this way, we are steamrolling the freedom and the rights that everyone has in this country. That's just the beginning.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Senator Bullock.
Ooh, I got a whole lot going on right now, but first, I need every member to address the chair as chair, not Sue. Second, I'm as I'm still new, as far as I know in my current life, the state board does have the authority through the Constitution to create standards and guidelines, right? If I am wrong, I need to get correct information.
Approved standards. We approve standards that we bring to the board. These are guidelines. And as such, as guidelines, the board really doesn't have the authority to approve them.
That's inaccurate as well. Statute would argue that. I just read it.
Okay.
Well, I don't know what you're reading. I'm just saying, as far as being a former elected official and being on this board and trying to gather information, I may not be the smartest person in the room, but I'm generally well informed. And I just don't know where someplace says that the Michigan Board of Education cannot create standards as you threatened or tried to address them.
And that would be the dysfunction
So,
of
Ms.
this body.
Snyder, thank you. Are you done, Senator Bullock?
I yield for now.
Okay. Mr. McMillan and then Ms. Tilley.
Yeah, I'd like to ask the department, so sex education is not in the Michigan merit curriculum, is that right?
No, it's not.
Lori?
Michigan
It's not.
Curriculum credit guidelines for
It's not.
sex education strand 7, HIV education strand 7.
Yes. It only says something about HIV, right? I mean, there's nothing other than that.
HIV is strand 6 and sex education is strand 7, and they're all in the same Michigan merit curriculum credit guidelines.
Yeah, but the requirement is specifically for HIV and sexually transmitted diseases, right? That's it.
Are you talking about standards or are you talking about the law?
I'm talking about Michigan merit curriculum.
The law. Oh my goodness.
What is in the Michigan merit curriculum?
The law. The statute does not describe
Ms.
sex
Snyder,
education
Ms.
under
Snyder,
health education.
Ms.
They're
Snyder,
not answering the
Ms.
questions.
Snyder.
Oh, you've got experts not
We're
being
just
experts.
asking for protocol at this
Yeah.
point.
So it's not in the Michigan merit curriculum. And so I'm wondering, what is the basis for including sex education in these standards or guidelines or whatever confusing thing you want to try to make them? What's the basis? It's for including these.
Because sex education is a portion of health education.
No, it's not.
Which section? And what does it say that it is to cover? Is it just HIV required in MCL 380.1170A CPR and required by MCL 380.1169 HIV?
Mr. McMillan, if you look at section 1 of the updated standards, you would see what is required by law.
1507.
Okay, well,
380, 1507.
so it's clear you guys there is no, and you know, the last standards in 2007, the sex education part was 1.5 pages. It was very benign. There was nothing, no gender identity, no, all this stuff. Really, there's no basis. There's no, you have no statute that requires it or that even allows this department to put this in there. I'm quite certain there will be litigation, which is sad that you guys are going to pass something potentially, unless two of you come to your senses, and you're going to pass something that is going to result in tax dollars being wasted through litigation, because clearly there is no basis for that. Second thing, Dr. Carnell, or Chair, during the testimony before the State House, said that that y'all chose Massachusetts as the template because, and I'm going to get the exact words right, Massachusetts has the same type of standards that they are more successful getting kids in the classroom to learn their high quality instruction. That's why it's being used. That's what she, word for word, at 1 hour and 5 minutes into the YouTube video. I asked for, show me proof that it's getting them into the classroom, that it's improving the standards. And she sent me basically that says Massachusetts has some good outcomes in math, and there was none. Okay, so the fact is, I want to make it clear, there's no basis for using Massachusetts standards, health standards. I just wanted to make that very clear. It was an untruth that was said at the oversight committee.
Not an untruth.
I'd like to. I can have my opinion. Leave me alone, will you?
Okay.
So I want to ask the department, and we heard from some people that gave testimony. They delivered sex education instruction to many schools. There's 5 of them here. They said that routinely the opt-outs are not done. They're not. Parents are not given warning for opt-outs. They're not done. What is the penalty for that? If they don't give opt-out instruction, what is the penalty?
You're asking if the district is not offering the parent opt-out?
District, if a parent, whatever it is, just what is the penalty for not giving opt-out?
It would be against the law, so they could be charged.
What's the penalty?
On the penalty.
Let's make it clear that that's what's happening here, is that there is no penalty. Now, if I'm in the legislature, or if I have any say, I do think that like 2 strikes and you're out, you're fired, or $10,000 per offense. I mean, those are the kind of things that would put some teeth, that we'd actually have. Opt-outs would even mean anything. You all say, don't worry, there's opt-outs. They're meaningless. They are absolutely meaningless when you tell me there's no penalty. So don't, and also, we shouldn't be having to worry about opt-outs. Why are we putting things in these standards that we know 2/3 to 3/4 of the public don't agree with? It is clear that, and then also I want to understand, you guys talk about how local districts can do whatever they want for the health class. Is that right? You say there's local control. Their curriculum, they can do whatever they want. Right? That's what I heard you say, is that it's local control.
They can choose whichever concepts that they.
So there's no way that they could put so little that their, accreditation is, if they choose one of the standards, like 1% of the standards, and that's all they're going to put in health class, just something minor. They're fine with doing that. They don't have to follow the majority or substantially all. There's nothing like that. You're not going to pull their accreditation. They could basically not teach health class, and they're fine, and the kids would graduate. Is that what you're saying?
There is a half credit requirement in the Michigan Merit Curriculum for health.
But it doesn't have to follow these standards whatsoever. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Not one part of it. Because I think that's wrong, and I think that the MEA and the establishments lawyers that are all there, they will tell the boards, you got to do basically everything here. They'll tell them that you got to do the sex standards as well. I mean, I've seen how this plays out. You just want to get it in here, and that's why I really think we need to make sure it would be wise to not put things in here that A, there's no statutory authority, and we shouldn't be doing it at all, and that will be litigated, and B, it's stuff that many are going to have to opt out, that there won't be opportunities. We know how this is going to play out, and you do too. This is all being done, it's all being done because there's powerful left-wingers, and you guys are following the 20% versus the 80% on these issues. Those are the questions I had. I do have substantial issues with the standards. I'll say that the health standards are required to have physiology, hygiene, drugs, narcotics, alcohol, tobacco, mental health, dental health, vision, nutrition, disease prevention and control, and accident prevention. That's what's in the MCL. That's what's actually in the statute. Dems did try to change that last term. They had the majority in the House, Senate, and Governor. They couldn't get it out of committee because this stuff is so radical that even some Dems in the House knew that it would harm them and also probably harm kids. But of all those I just mentioned, in these standards, these topics are mentioned 151 times. Sex and gender are mentioned 253 times. I don't know what the obsession with sex is among you people. I mean, it is a true grooming that's going on that is really sad, and the people understand that that is the intent of what's going on here. There's also this idea of advocacy. Here again, the far left has captured this party. I mean, 30 times environment, 21 times culture is in there, 77 times society or social. I mean, these belong in social studies. These are not in health standards. There's a lot of problems with these. There's civil rights issues. I mean, we've already seen with Mahmoud v. Taylor that there's religious in the First Amendment rights that these are going to collide with for sure, especially when that there's not going to be opt-out. It's very difficult, and that's what Mahmoud talked about, was the difficulty of opting out is something that can't be done, and it's going to be done as you pass these. Also, there's health teachers who have already been certified, and you're saying that now they're going to be forced to teach things that they disagree with in these sex ed, or they're going to lose their job. And so certainly there's civil rights issues with that as well. Yeah, I mean, I guess, there was good testimony. I think it was pathetic that you guys forced everybody to just basically read so quickly that nobody could understand it. It was truly sad, and when we are a majority, that's not going to happen. I will tell you that. I do have one amendment that I would like to make, and I don't have it written out. I was busy listening and making sure that I took notes, but it's pretty simple. It's on page 66. It's the area that says define gender identity, gender expression, and sexual orientation, and explain that they are distinct components of every individual's identity. And I brought this up back in September. To say that they are, that's a factual statement that is just, it's a belief. And even the chair acknowledged at the oversight committee, it's a belief. There are people that believe this. There are people that don't believe it. So to suggest that it should be R, I can't believe that right-thinking people would actually say that. So part of my amendment would just be to say sexual orientation and explain that some believe that they are distinct components. So just some believe that would be added after the word that. And then the second one would be on the second portion, explain how biological sex, gender identity, and gender expression are distinct concepts and how they interact with each other. Here again, it's a belief. It's not an R. This should not be in the standards that it's a fact. So I would say explain how biological sex, gender identity, and gender expression and that some believe they are distinct concepts, gender expression, and how some believe they are distinct concepts and how they interact. So it's just making it clear that these are not, what was the testimony before the oversight committee by our state superintendent and by every common thinking person would say, these are beliefs. The vast majority of Michiganders don't believe this. And to suggest that they are is just, I would hope that we could at least get that passed. So that is my motion.
We have a motion on the
I
floor.
very reluctantly seconded, and I'll explain why.
Ms. Snyder, we have a motion on the floor, yes. So we can do an amendment. Okay. So we have an amendment to the motion to amend sex education 8.2.
8.2.sh.
Ms. Snyder, seconded.
My reluctant second, and I will explain why.
Okay. Discussion? Dr. Pugh.
I clearly will be voting no on that proposed amendment, but before we go any further, through the chair, I need to ask Board Member McMillan if he called people at this table groomers.
I'm just stating what I'm
You need to be careful what you say, because yes, you did, and you need to retract that.
I was saying that these standards are.
No, you said that people at this table were groomers and intentional groomers. You need to retract that.
I'm not sure that that's what I said.
Those are dangerous words, and you need to be careful what you say at this table.
Well, I'm not going to retract something I didn't say.
Snyder. Wait a minute. I'm sorry. Are you done, Dr. Pugh? Ms. Snyder.
I have requested publicly, President Pugh, that you retract the words you used during COVID, suggesting that those that did not agree with your mask mandates were killing children. You have never retracted that statement. If you want to talk about dangerous words, revisit your own behavior.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder.
I am not done.
And you need to check your behavior at the table. It is out of line. It is out of line. It needs to be brought into order.
Okay.
I can't stand the disrespect. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Dr. Pugh.
I would like to review what we were talking about with whether or not local districts must comply with these standards.
Yes. Is your discussion about the motion?
Yes. It directly relates to it.
Come to the point.
I will get there. When we say there are two different genders, what was the second amendment, Tom?
Biological sex, gender identity, and gender expression are distinct concepts.
Okay. When we say there are more than two genders, and that those concepts are facts, and we put them out there as standards and guidelines, and the statute does in fact say, you guys said no, they don't have to comply with it. That's inaccurate. Statute says that local districts must comply. So what you're saying, again, the convenient inaccuracies that are just flying about, this idea of no, it doesn't comply, there's local control. You're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. And when we put these standards, guidelines, whatever they are, whoever developed them out there, and we tell local districts that they have to teach that, even though it violates the civil rights of a number of Michiganders, and you don't care what that can put them in trouble with, legally wise? Like, I don't understand how this is an elephant-sized issue. To our Regional 3 teachers' point this morning, this is not an ant-sized issue. This is significant. This is incredibly significant. And I am very reluctant even to vote yes, to be honest with you, to your amendment, because I can't in good conscience say that some people believe there are more than two genders. I understand that to be true. I'm not hiding from it. I'm not one of those people that people say that came here in support of these that sticks their head in the sand. However, I believe that's the foundation of what's violating so many biological girls' civil rights across the state. In sports, in bathrooms, in access to public education, which Title IX was designed to help them gain access, full access to public education. If I say yes to such an amendment that says some believe that, that is a foundation to say, I guess their civil rights don't really matter in the end. I can't do that.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. You said that the standards or the guidelines that you point to in Section 1 and 2, that schools or people must comply.
MCL suggests that they must comply with the aligned state-approved health education guidelines. That's the verbiage. You're calling them standards, guidelines. So what are they, standards or guidelines? And the one statute that gives you the authority to make guidelines and the one statute that gives us the authority to develop and adopt standards. Again, the what are they and who developed them is the center of what's going on here. So, and when then you say they don't have to follow them, they do have to follow them according to your statute. My statute, as a State Board of Ed member, there's flexibility locally. But are they supposed to pick up this document and say, gosh, which one of these things is a guideline and which line is a standard? And no.
Point of order. 1 second, Dr. Pugh. Are you done?
Yeah.
Thank you. Dr. Pugh.
There was a proposed amendment. Board Member Snyder supported or seconded that amendment, but I think she retracted that support, and so I'm just trying to figure out where we are, because it's a lot of swirling here.
I supported it, but I won't vote for it.
Okay. Thank you. Any other discussion? Ms. Evans?
On the amendment only.
On the amendment only.
And just clarifying, it's on page. I violated my own rule. Page 66, 8.2, parent SH, number 1, to add some believe that. Number 2, to believe some believe they. Is that how I understand it?
And some believe, and some believe.
And some for one or
it'll
two.
Say 2. In gender expression and some believe are distinct concepts. I guess you could say they. That's fine. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Where is this?
It's on page 66 in the standards.
Mm-hmm.
It's just changing a factual to a opinion.
Some believe versus our.
Mm-hmm. Number 1, number 2 at the top.
Some believe. Yeah, some believe that they are, and some believe are distinct concepts.
Okay. Mr. Bullock?
Yes, I'm going to vote for Tom's amendment.
Lipton?
No.
McMillan?
Yes.
Pritchett?
No.
Pugh?
No.
Robinson?
No.
Snyder?
No.
Tilly?
No.
Motion failed.
I tried to help you, Tom.
Okay, so we're back on the original motion to approve the standard guidelines. More discussion. Dr. Pugh, Senator Bullock, and then Ms. Tilly.
Sometimes I just.
Pugh?
Oh, after Pugh. Okay.
Oh. I have what may be a friendly amendment that I would like to share. And as it's coming around, this is on section 1, so it's up. I think it's page.
I got it.
18-ish, 20. So section 1, and we know what happened is that when some of these items were moved around and put under what is stated on page, so section 1 is content required by state law. So some of these sections were moved into this section. Some of these page numbers. And so we need to make corrections there because some of these items are not required by law. So inadvertently, when we move some of these paragraphs and subsections, they went under section 1, which are requirements. And just for clarity's sake, would like to strike the portions that are not required by law.
Just a clarification, they are required by law, but in a different subsection.
Yes,
We're
yes,
trying
yes,
to
yes.
clean this section up. Yes. Dr. Robinson, thank you. Supported by Ms. Lipton, thank you. Any discussion?
Should it be read into?
Yes.
Go ahead, Mitch, since you took them.
Number 1.
Dr. Robinson, I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Motion to amend 4 standards under section 1. The topics required by state law to strike the words pregnancy and contraception. 1, 8.4.sh number 1 on page 21. Analyze ways to prevent, and then striking pregnancy and sexually transmitted infections, STIs, including strategies that can be used before becoming sexually active, e.g. communicating with a partner, abstinence, striking the word contraception. 2, 8.5.sh number 1 on page 22, determine strategies including abstinence that will reduce the risk of HIV and other sexually transmitted infections in striking the words and pregnancy. Number 3, 8.5.sh number 2 on page 22, articulate the benefits of abstinence, postponing sexual activity, and setting personal limits, e.g. aligning with personal or family values, changing the nature of relationships, striking the words avoiding early or unintended pregnancy, back to the text, reducing risk of STIs, based on individual beliefs and values. Number 4, 12.4.sh, Number 1 on page 23, analyze factors that contribute to behaviors that increase the risk of, striking the word pregnancy, HIV, and other STIs. Do you want the other part read as well at the end?
No. Any discussion? Ms. Evans.
I will say that these are items that have been identified as problems, along with tremendous amount more problems, but I will be supporting this.
Thank you, Mr. McMillan. Ms. Snyder.
The board president mentioned when we developed these. I realize I didn't actually get an answer. So who did develop these health education standards?
We can go back to the beginning when we first introduced this in September to talk about how the standards were developed, how the standards guidelines were developed.
Who developed them? Is there a list of names?
We can get you that list.
Can we talk about them right now?
We can get you that list.
I would like to have access to who developed these health education standards guidelines.
Not sure that the team has it in front of them right now.
Is any one of our names on that list?
No.
Okay. I'll be voting yes on this, but that is a very clear admission that the State Board of Education has not developed these standards guidelines.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Dr. Pugh, did you have a question, comment? Okay, thank you.
Bullock?
Yes.
Lipton?
Yes.
McMillan?
Yes.
Pritchett?
Yes.
Pugh?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Snyder?
Yes.
And Tilly?
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, we're back to the original motion of approving the health ed. You already did. You already did. Oh, you know what? I do apologize, Ms. Tilly. Go for it.
Have to breathe. First, I want to say thank you all for your hard work. Thank you for the presentation as well. Thank you for the updates. I know that you all have been working to do updates based on feedback that you've been getting over the past 30 days or so. I do want to address some things. For one, sex education has been around, from what I'm reading, since 1912 in this country. I remember having sex education in school, and I wasn't born back then, but it's been a while since I've been in high school. I graduated over 30 years ago. I know my daughter, who's my youngest, graduated almost a decade ago now. And she, in her class, and because I was a very active parent, going up to the school as well as asking my child what she's learning, I know that she was learning about the LGBTQ community back then, and that's been a minute. So sex education is not new in Michigan. The mention of the LGBTQ community is not new in Michigan. Because control is local, districts get to decide whether they want to have sex education. That is not something that NBC or the state board of education. And we're not changing it. And I do want to, since lies are being discussed, I do want to address a couple of lies and propaganda that has been spewed. One has recently been addressed by Board Member Snyder, which is board members are not.
We're not going to call anyone liars at the table.
Fallacies, it's propaganda. Misinformation that's been given.
Just state what the fact is and go from there.
Board members are not pushing this It is our job to adopt policies and standards. Normally, this process is not new. Normally, the Michigan Department of Education presents us with information, policies, standards, and we decide whether we're going to adopt them or amend them. And a lot of times we make amendments before we adopt them, like Dr. Pugh has suggested that we do today. So we're not pushing anything. We are doing our jobs, though, which is making sure that some very old standards and guidelines are being updated today. Also, another thing that I want to address, which is very concerning, and that has caused a lot of negative feedback, is that people have said that the State Board and the Michigan Department of Education want to change it where parents cannot opt out. And that is not true one bit. Not one person has said that they want parents to be forced into a situation that they don't want to be forced into with sex education. Not one board member has said it. It's not, you cannot find it on tape. You cannot find it in the media, in an article, in an email. It is simply not true. It is state law that parents have the option to opt out. No one wants to change that. We want you to be a part of your children's education. I am a parent first, and I know as a parent, I was very involved in my children's education. And so I want to make that clear. It is state law. These guidelines do not change that. These guidelines do not enforce districts to even have sex education. If a district does not want to have sex education, they do not have to. That is not a mandate. So I just want to be very, very clear, because what has been said, the rumors that have been spun have been very ugly, very inappropriate, very hurtful, and has caused a lot of negativity to come towards us that's not even called for. I do want to say as well, I appreciate everybody that came today for public comment. Whether we agree or not, everybody has an opinion. Everybody has their right to say their opinion, as long as it is respectful. I appreciate those that have stuck around, because a lot of people came and gave opinions, and not everyone can stay, I understand, but so many people left instead of hearing the feedback, the presentation. So thank you for those who have stayed around. We are all here on this board serving because we care about children. People that work in this department are former educators who care about children. So these standards have been long overdue for an update. It's clear, hopefully now, to everyone that parents have the option to opt out. This is not something we're trying to force on parents or schools. There are schools who have already been teaching these things. This is just to give them current guidelines to do that. Thank you.
Senator Bullock and okay, Mr. McMillan.
Yeah, something happened today I've never seen before, and I think it's just for the optics, so the media makes it appear that there's a lot of support. I have never seen the department say that the board got this number of emails in this period of time in support or opposition. At first, I don't know how you'd know if they came to one of us instead of you. The idea that we're counting emails now and there's no way to back that up or verify it. The only thing that can be verified is the official public comment, which was overwhelmingly 78% against. And then you saw that and said, oh no, now what do we got to do? And so you have made up this thing that I've never seen before, you've never done before.
Made up. So you cannot disrespect the staff.
I'm making a comment. I can certainly say that. This is something I've never seen before.
You cannot disrespect the staff.
If they do something that is disrespectful, yes, I can. Number two, Elliot Larson. I hear about Elliot Larson. There's nothing in Elliot Larson that requires these in the sex standards, sex ed standards. There's nothing that requires it. So let's make that very clear. Number three, and I don't know exactly what I said about grooming, but what I was pointing out is that the actual health education topics that are in statute are only mentioned 151 times, whereas sex and gender is mentioned 253 times. And I would say that does seem to be standards for grooming kids. So you can take that as you want. And fourth, I would just mention that to remind everybody that what Jesus said about a millstone and those that cause one of these little ones to stumble or sin.
Thank you, Mr. McMillan. I just want to point out, if I may, that, yes, we did look at the comments that came in. They were sent to us as well. We decided to look at them and count them. Could you?
You have no idea.
Excuse me, Mr. McMillan.
Well, you're not telling the truth.
Excuse me, Mr. McMillan.
How would you know what came to me?
Because it was sent to me as well.
You don't know.
You weren't. You're not in there.
I don't trust my email.
Mr. McMillan.
You're telling me not one email was sent to me and not you? Is that what you're saying?
Mr. McMillan. My second part of that is...
No, you're not telling the truth.
I am telling the truth, Mr. McMillan. And if Saria disagrees with your point here, we wanted to make sure that we didn't just cut off some parents. We wanted to include all parents, because had we just did the formal part of the survey, then we would have gotten pushback saying you didn't listen to all parents. So we listened to all of the comments, or we read the comments, we recorded the comments, so that and even though there's a certain percentage that is opposed, they were opposed for a reason. The main theme of that reason is opt-out. One of the reasons why the document is now 71 pages long versus the 50-some pages long is because we listened to what people said. So if you're suggesting in the future that we not listen to what parents or people say, please say so now.
Well, first, don't disrespect me, because that's not what I'm saying.
Okay, what are you saying, Mr. McMillan?
Well, because first of all, don't say that you know what's in my email box or any of ours, and second, you've never done this before, have you? You've always said public comment. I've never seen a document in 9 years that says, here's the official public comment was this or this. And by the way, in the last 2 weeks, you all got emails that said this. That's never been. It's only because you guys saw 78% opposed and you had to freak out and come up with some other idea. Nobody can verify that it was just opt-out, being removed or anything. This is just numbers. They're not public. So, and just finally, this whole opt-out thing, it's very clear that you all know very clearly that there's no penalty. That's what was said, no penalty for not making sure that parents have warning about opt-outs. So without penalty, and I'd urge that there should be a firing if it's done twice. There should be $5,000 for the district every time. I mean, if that was there, then I might trust you all and trust what's going to happen. But we know We were given testimony that parents will not be given the opportunity to opt out, which is why these standards shouldn't have stuff that parents have to worry about opting out. It's ridiculous.
Thank you, Mr. McMillan. Senator Bullock.
This is just so much garbage going on. So part of what I wanted, I got two things I want to do. First, this notion that, percentage-wise, who's this, what that. You guys make a lot of statements about, we all know, everyone knows. Well, I don't be agreeing or knowing, and I know you're wrong. So that stuff has to go. You make a lot of statements, and then y'all don't want to retract. You pull back. You're so used to debating and fighting. You say things that aren't totally correct. She threw out Title IX. Title IX was not created for sports. Let's just be clear. Sports dominates what Title IX does, but it was created to put women into professional spaces in the universities and not be discriminated on. It's just like affirmative action. It's a black civil rights thing, but white women benefit more than any other person. It's misconceptions to it.
Oh my goodness.
So we got to stop just throwing out just spaghetti on the wall and hope this stuff sticks.
Oh my goodness.
Now, I do want to say, I heard some things that resonated with you. Young lady, I am really heavy on mental health, behavioral wellness, and I appreciated your words earlier today. Ignorance was thrown around a couple times. We got to be careful how we use these things or say these things, but all parents do have rights. A lot of people talked about all parents have rights and their children have rights, not just the people who oppose the proposal. Right. I'm a parent and I got rights, but you don't have any. Because parental rights come with a responsibility. And there was a gentleman that said, this is just a small step forward or a first step forward into making this better or finding the way to a better space with that. But some people have clearly people got views, but some people got outdated views. And there's been an abundance of orchestrated talking points and myths going around, but let's be clear on this one thing. Health education includes sexual awareness. No matter how people want to dissect this sex ed, health education includes it. If not for physical health, it's for the safety or social and emotional wellness of our students. So, and then parental rights are not absolute. Again, for lack of a better term, with school systems, I think the word is balanced. It's supposed to be a balanced, shared responsibility with parental rights, I think. But, with all of that, I digress.
Thank you. Next is Ms. Snyder.
All parents have rights, but no one parent or group of parents has the right to weaponize a government-run school to adopt the values and beliefs that they feel they should push. That's what's happening right here.
Thank you.
There are more than two genders. When you say there are distinct concepts, you are using the government and you are using government-run schools to push your beliefs and views. And that violates the parental rights of those who disagree with you. That's a problem. I'm going to round out my comment with, we just went through superintendent interviews. I thought the best interviewer, and it was very clear she blew everybody out of the water multiple times with multiple interviews. She was really succinct. She knew our statute, I would say, better than anybody else did in this room. She was very good. She said that it was incredibly important for the state of Michigan to depoliticize our public education policy. And oftentimes it's very interesting when I run into people and they say, the State Board of Education, you guys are so political. I just want to really put the responsibility of the political nature of this board on where it really belongs. Because when we are presented with health education standards, guidelines that we didn't develop, and it blows up like this, and it's a button the department can press every single election because they have power they've abused too many times over, that's not the State Board of Education going politically rogue. That's a department that has gone politically rogue, and the tail is wagging the dog, and it has got to stop.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Next, Dr. Pugh is supposed to be Dr. Pugh.
And we do have a vote that's on the table.
Yes.
So, but I did want to mention something because I was here. I was here when we did the social studies standards. I was here when we updated the science standards. Was anybody else here? Okay. So we would recall that we talked about who was engaged. We looked at numbers. As board member Tilley mentioned, and I'm just providing some examples of what that looked like. If you go back to that process, board member Snyder, you would see that this was a similar process. It was the same process. They
held meetings all around the state.
Mr. McMillan?
For social studies.
Mr. McMillan? Dr. Pugh, keep going with your statement.
There were complications with the social studies standards. Remember, because the original body that helped the department to develop the standards was overshadowed by a Republican legislator. And that is why we had to redo them. And we collected information across the state. Similar to what board member Tilley mentioned, that we can bring, when the board does bring items like I brought today, we can make changes to the standards. But to make that statement that this has never been done before, I won't use the L word, but it's not the truth.
Thank you, Dr. Pugh.
Wait a minute.
Dr. Pritchett.
Thank
You said never done before. It was just the emails. That's what I said. We've never done that before.
Mr. McMillan, you don't have the floor right now.
Well, it's called the liars. Thought I'd address it.
Thank you, Mr. McMillan.
An L word.
All right. Dr. Pritchett.
First of all, I want to thank all the individuals who have communicated with us over the last 2 months, be it via email, coming to the meeting, or calling in. In my career as a public educator in all sorts of environments, communication is absolutely paramount. And it became evident that there was confusion. And so I appreciate the department looking at that and going, okay, we need to monitor and adjust here. Let's hear it from Madeline Hunter. And reorganize these and make it crystal clear that there is statute in Michigan that protects this process. And that statute includes, in fact, is number one with parent input and parent choice. And Ms. Tilley is absolutely correct. If a district chooses not to teach sex education, they don't have to teach sex education, but their sex advisory committee normally makes that decision along with the administration. And my guess is there's probably some districts in the state that don't. And that's based on their community and their feedback from their community. So again, I appreciate you taking that step and going, okay, we've got to go back to the drawing board and make this clear. So I believe the document is much clearer at this point, and it's delineated very well. And just as to help Mr. McMillan here, any email I received in the last month or since these standards have been out that I received from a concerned citizen automatically went to Dr. Carnell. That's the way I manage things. That's how I am a board member. If I get an email from an individual in the state, a parent, legislator, whoever, who has a concern, whatever the concern is, then I'm going to pass it on to Dr. Carnell. So some of those emails within the account came from me. Whether they went to you or any other board member, I have no idea, because it came out to Judith Pritchett. But just so you're aware of the fact You're questioning why we've never done that before or where those numbers came from. I can tell you personally, many of them came from me, of individuals who were communicating with me, because that is my style. That's what I do. So that way the administration knows, okay, we've got a concern out there, and then I leave it in their hands. And one more thing on standards. I've been coming to these board meetings longer than Pam has, even by probably a year or so, because I used to sit over here as part of my job. The board has always used this process for standards, whatever they've been, ELA, social studies, any standards. There's always been a public comment period. There's always been a time when the staff has come back and said, here's changes we've made, et cetera. I didn't see any change in that at this point. So, again, I appreciate your work on this. Thank you.
Ms. Tilley.
To add on to a couple of things that Dr. Pritchett said, you guys took the time to get over 1,000 surveys turned in. We're not talking about you just reached out to 1,000 people. In order to get those turned in, you had to reach out to way more than that. So I think that, and not only with the surveys, we've had public comment, we've had emails, we've had phone calls. The staff has been good with sharing the messages, the voicemails, making sure that we're getting those in addition to the emails. So we've had a lot of people chime in on either side. One thing that I do want the department to speak to is Elliott Larson, because I think there's confusion around that, because none of us has said that it's mandated by Elliott Larson. We've said that it aligns to Elliott Larson. So if the department can explain that, please, for the public.
So as I said, oops, it is still on, okay. As I said, Article 8, Section 3 of the Michigan Constitution requires both MDE and local districts to follow all laws. Elliott Larson is now a law in the state of Michigan since 2023. Elliott Larson includes provisions that ensure equal opportunities for a quality education, to promote inclusivity, which includes sexual orientation and gender identity. Does that help?
I understand, but I want to make sure that other people understand. And I do want to state also that the LGBTQ community is a community. They are a population. They attend public schools. We cannot ignore them, just like we cannot ignore special needs children, just like we cannot ignore foster children, just like we cannot ignore minority children or immigrant children or any children. So it is important that we are inclusive of all children, and that includes that community. We cannot ignore them because people are afraid of what definitions and terminology being shared with our children. You know, we live in a world today where people are out of the closet, where it's exposed on TV, on movies, on social media. It is everywhere. It's not the world that we lived in 20, 30 years ago or more. Going through the airport, I saw all kinds of ads. Every ad had LGBTQ families on posters. It is in our face. You cannot hide from it. Children see it. Children have questions. And again, if you do not feel comfortable as a parent with it
being taught in sex ed in your school, if your school is teaching sex ed, please talk to your schools, opt out. You have that right. It is your right. It is your choice. But there are also parents that would like their children to learn sex ed, to learn about LGBTQ definitions. No one wants to groom anyone here. No one wants children to influence children to be a part of the LGBTQ community. But we do want to support children where they are, and it is definitely a human rights issue. There are a lot of children that have been bullied. There are adults that have been killed because of their sexual orientation. So we do want people to understand, let's stop being afraid of one another. Let's talk to one another. Let's understand one another. Even if we don't agree, let's take the time to respect one another. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tilley. Dr. Pugh? I call the vote. Thank you. Ms. Evans? You need to vote on that.
No, I call the vote for the who moved? Who made
on the
motion?
motion?
On the motion, yes.
Okay. Dr.
Yes.
Robinson and Ms. Tilley.
Okay.
To approve.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Bullock?
Yes.
Voting on the, okay, very good. Lipton?
Yes.
McMillan?
No.
Pritchett?
Yes.
Pugh?
Yes.
Robinson?
Yes.
Snyder?
No.
And Tilley?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you, presenters. Report of the State Board President.
I don't have a report, but I do want to take just a few minutes to say that I am a Christian. I do know that parents know best. Parents should and do have a right to opt their children out. This is opt-outable standards, not only for parents, but also for school districts. And I am proud of what we just did. We make safer spaces for students, all students. And I think that it's time for us to start spreading and acknowledging and sharing what truly these standards are and are not. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Next is the report of the interim state superintendent. I just want to thank the board members and the staff who worked on preparing for this meeting. It was a lot of logistical pieces, and it ran smoothly. So from Blue Ribbon Schools to public participation, I thank you very much. Just to the board, as of November 7th, MDE has processed and released approximately 37 grants, which is about 32% of the funding that we have. We'll continue to send out to issue out those grants. I also want to thank the board for this opportunity to serve as interim state superintendent. It's been my pleasure, and thank you for the faith and belief that you had in me. So thank you very much. We accomplished a lot. We had two new superintendents meeting, and we're just clicking along with the support of all of the staff members here and those who were here earlier today. Now, it is up to the board. We are prepared as a staff to send you the legislative report, or would you like to hear the legislative report in person?
Email me.
I'll call on you, Senator Bullock. Dr. Pugh.
I just have like one question, and I'm forgetting which section, but it has to do with the school safety. And there was an extension for the waivers for the schools. And I just wanted to hear just a little bit about that, because I have gotten questions about that.
So do you want to talk about that? Okay.
Section 31AA?
Yes,
31AA has a portion which has per pupil payments. You need me to go to a different mic? No, I'll get you one. Per pupil payments, that the whole section has some pieces in it that have requirements of districts that we have been served a lawsuit, so we can no longer talk about it. But the due date for the opt-in is November 30.
So the law requested that if you want the funding, you had to waive your rights for catastrophes, 2 or more kids.
Not appropriate.
And some districts are deciding not to do that. Some are. Okay. All right. Anything else? Comments from so state and federal? Shall we send that to you by email?
What are we referring to?
Pardon? The legislative update.
There was nothing passed, correct? Nothing out of.
We can bring people to the table if you want, or okay. So we will forego that for the sake of time, and we will send it to you via email. Comments by the State Board of Education members?
We want Dr. Robinson to provide his brief.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. I need to go back. Thank you, Liz, Ms. Evans. Dr. Robinson, you want
10 seconds. I went to Austin, presented a session, was well received, had a good time, thank you all.
Good night, God bless, good night.
Ms. Bridget, SBE Legislative Committee, anything you want to talk about?
No, it'll be in the email.
Okay.
Thank you.
Comments by State Board. Senator Bullock.
Have a happy holiday.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yes.
Ms. Kelly.
I just want to say thank you so much for serving. You are the first African American woman to sit in that seat. You are highly respected in the field. Thank you for your years of service, your dedication to our children, and making sure that while we are in this transition that things are going smoothly. You are definitely feeling the heat from the seat. And you are doing it with grace. We thank you.
All right, so our future regular meetings of the State Board of Education are December 9th at 9:30, January 13th at 9:30, and February 10th. Are there any topics, if there are any topics that the board members would like to recommend for future meetings, please notify Ms. Evans or Dr. Maleko. Thank you, board members and presenters and everyone participating today. This concludes the State Board of Education